7th in the nation. He's run 49.76, ran slightly faster than that last year, so there's still several big races in it for him. They're also looking for good help from Matthew Harris in lane 5.
He was 4th last year, Norm, at the ACC Outdoors at 51.36. Heat number 1 of 3. Top finisher will go to championship Saturday.
And Craig Sadler, as expected, is first to the first hurdle out in lane 7. And now definitely taking the lead going over hurdle 3. He's got a beautiful stride, very efficient form, and is the only athlete in this field to have gone sub 50 so far this spring.
Jacob Ranker, normal the outside, a grad transfer from Miami University in Ohio. Last year 3rd at the MAC Championships, but as mentioned, Paul Sadler for North Carolina out in front. Last year moved to number 4 all time in the 400 hurdles.
Sadler completely under control. And the winner of each heat and the next 5 fastest will advance. So Sadler is going to get the auto spot. Now can the second athlete, Harris, get in? And that remains to be seen with another couple heats to go. But very comfortable race for Sadler. He ran 50.93. Ranker of Notre Dame 2nd, 52.05. And Matt Harris of UNC 3rd in 52.34.
Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on that. Ranker's side at 52.05, finish in 2nd. So here's the major storylines coming into the 2024 ACC Outdoor Championships. Last year was a terrific matchup on both sides. The Duke women got a title for the first time in 3 years. The Clemson men won in a long time as well. And last year came down very tight on the men's side, Norm.
Yeah, it was just a 1-point victory. It seemed even closer than that because there were 5 teams with a shot to win going into the 4x4. We expect 2 team races tomorrow that'll be really tight, both or Saturday. Both the men's and women's races we expect to come down to the 4x4. Lots of races between now and then, though, here in Atlanta. And you were right. After a intense weather day throughout most of the Southeast, it is gorgeous right now. If we were in Miami, we would say how sweet it is. We're in Atlanta instead. We'll just call it peachy.
Yeah, we're in the Peach State. It's great to be back with you. We called the indoors together in Boston with our great crew. Duke again, 2nd ACC outdoor title and 1st outright in the past 3 seasons. Clemson won on the med side last year for the first time since 2004. We called it last year with Miltonberg squad on the men's side for North Carolina, their first indoor title since '96 for the Tar Heels.
It's not easy to win ACC team titles, but right now, here's the results we told you about. Sadler, the 2nd, running 50.93. And then the bubble times early here are Ranker at 52.05 and Harris at 52.34. I'm guessing it's going to take 51 point or quicker to make the final. We'll be ready for Heat 2 very shortly. There you're looking at Pittsburgh's Devin Nugent. He's in lane 6. Nugent's run 50.84. He is the fastest seed time here in heat number 2. The other athlete to look for in this section is from Syracuse, who's always had a very strong hurdle program. This is Elijah Mallard out in lane 8. Of course, they have in the high hurdles they have Jaheim Hales, but Syracuse has always been a program pretty much focused on the distances and the hurdles, and this is their first chance to show off their hurdles with Elijah Mallard. His best time 51.32 this year. So if things were to go to form, we'd see Nugent of Pittsburgh right there, and then Mallard of Syracuse running fast enough perhaps to get in on time. Again, I'm expecting 51 low to be good enough to be in the top 8 and go to the final on Saturday.
We also have one freshman in this heat. Gage Goss of Virginia is in lane number 7 as well. Nugent, to Norm's point, finished 4th last year at the ACC Outdoors and Rally. Mallard finished 6th at 52.08. This is heat number 2.
Nugent also a part of the revival of the Pittsburgh Panther 4x400. We'll expect to see him. Pittsburgh, I believe, has the 2nd fastest time in the ACC in the 4x4 this year, which they have not been in that position in a while. Lots of orange on the track, orange and blue, but that's a combination of Virginia and Syracuse.
They also have Xavier Perkins as well from Woodland Hills, California.
Mallard out really well, and Nugent also running quickly, so that's who we expect. Nugent now making up some ground on Mallard, and that's clearing hurdle 5.
And Nugent just behind Mallard on the outside with the slight lead. Here's the move, though, by Nugent in the middle.
Nugent is in the lead now, and Wilson of Virginia, Jeremiah Wilson, may be coming up for second.
But is Nugent still out in front? And Nugent's going to advance to championship Saturday, winning heat number 2. That outside, Mallard looks like came in second there. Will be Mallard at second at 51.97.
All right, so it held up to form.
Yeah.
50.66 and a 51.97. So that to me would be very interesting to see if that 51.97 will get in. But right now, you would expect him to make the final, finishing second in that heat. Here's beautiful form of Nugent, really opening up down the backstretch, and then coming into the turn, the final turn here. And now down, as we said, they go past the hammer cage. That's what's blocking our view a bit. But just really, really good form. And he's clearing very close to the top of the hurdle, which is exactly what you want to do. You want to be as close to the top of the hurdle as you can, obviously without hitting it. And clearly showed he was the top athlete in this second heat of the 400 hurdles, and he's going to be a contender in the final on Saturday.
The pride of Abington, Pennsylvania, North Penn High School wins heat number 2. Also, that second place time of Elijah Mallard, that best ranker in heat number 1. Ranker was at 52.05. Mallard came in at 51.97. Perkins, I mentioned, with the surge late, was in third, 52.27. Virginia takes 4th and 5th. In the second of 3 heats here in the prelims, gearing up for championship Saturday in Atlanta. So Alonzo Webb's Pitt Panthers going to be represented. And we'll focus in here in lane number 5 for heat number 3, Xavier Branker of North Carolina State.
Xavier is super solid for the Wolfpack. Now, a number of years ago, Alan Johnson was their hurdle coach. Alan Johnson, of course, won a gold medal in the high hurdles for the Wolfpack. Now Alan Johnson's a head coach at North Carolina A&T, but they've continued to produce good hurdlers at NC State, and Xavier Branker is the top one this year. Here's Alex Sherman of UVA. We didn't mention it, but the men's team race, you're going to see UVA, UNC, and Virginia Tech probably battling it out for the top 3. And it is also supposed to be really close, so all these points count. And if you can get somebody into the final, that's a big deal. These finals in the ACC are not easy to make. Alex Sherman has run 50.54 this year. So he's one of the guys that you definitely expect to make the final. The question is, can Branker run close to his PR, 51.46, to get in on time as well? It looks like right now, you know, bubble time's high 51. Maybe it might even be low 52. So can we get 1 or 2 guys out of this heat? Well, we'll definitely get 1, but can we get 2 guys out of this heat? We'll find out real soon.
Branker, the freshman from Charlotte, a 4-time state champion. Sherman from Newton, Massachusetts, had the 3rd best time out of Virginia with a performance, as Norm mentioned, at 50.54. That was at the Virginia Challenge earlier this year. He was part of that DMR team that we called up in Boston as well, that finished 3rd and 6th at the indoor ACCs.
And just in case you're not aware of the 400 hurdles, it's 10 hurdles around the track, and they're at 36 inches high, just kind of like the intermediate setting on the hurdles. It's the same height that the steeplechasers will negotiate tomorrow night, over 3,000 meters. But this race has always been a great one for the city of Atlanta. We saw before, you know, who has the ACC record. And then remember, this is also the home of Morehouse and Edwin Moses, who was the world record holder and one of the greatest 400-meter hurdlers of all time, no doubt, and a world record holder.
They need. Let's see if we can get any records broken at this year's ACCs. 53.40 to get in Championship Saturday. It's that time to beat. So far, we've seen Sadler and Nugent punch their tickets. Start of the outside from Alex Sherman, as we documented from the outset. Zasley of Notre Dame coming on strong as well on the left side of your screen. In the middle is Atkinson, the sophomore from UNC.
We love his name, Blaze Atkinson. Blaze has run 52.40, so maybe if he can run a fast third here, he can get into the final. UNC would like every point they can get. Same with Virginia. Alex Sherman, it's really important for Virginia to get a guy into the finals in this 400 hurdles. They're counting on every point they can get. These guys run in pretty close. Sherman clearly in the lead, but it looks like Blaze Atkinson might get by Joey Zasley of Notre Dame. And it is indeed Blaze Atkinson into second.
And Alex Sherman of Virginia will take that third and final heat and will move the championship Saturday with Sadler the second and Nugent. Atkinson as well will go on to championship Saturday along with Branker of North Carolina State.
And I think Brankers ran fast enough to get in, 51.87.
Zasley also a terrific race as well in the third and final heat. Here's Sherman, Norm, holding his ground. And how about Zasley?
Yeah, Zasley's flat out goes into lane 8.
Yeah.
Now, that's not a foul because he didn't impede the progress of the Virginia runner, and he went longer than he should have. So that won't affect his potential qualification. But Branker is able to get past him anyways. He's not going to go, I don't think, with a 52.17, although we find that out shortly. But should have, with 3 guys under 52 seconds, I would think all 3 of those guys are going to advance.
Sherman also an integral member of that 4x4 relay team. Ran the third leg that we called in Boston in the DMR at the Indoor Championships. In Heat 3 goes Sherman, Atkinson, Branker. So Sherman automatically qualifies. And here are the guys that will advance to the finals on Saturday, spearheaded again by Nugent and Sadler. Mallard, Ranker, Zasley also getting in as well.
Yeah, so a couple Syracuse, couple Notre Dames, then some Syracuse guys.
All right, we're going to take our first time out here in Atlanta. Congratulations to those competitors. And on the other side, we'll flip over to the women's side of the 400-meter hurdles prelim. Welcome back to Griffin Track here in Atlanta for the 2024 ACC Outdoor Track and Field Championships. The first points were awarded today, and here's what went down in the women's hammer, Norm.
Yes, women's hammer, a big event always for Virginia Tech. This is Barbara Stefova with her third attempt throw. She gets it out 206 feet and 4 inches, and that will put her into third place. Now here's the favorite going into the meet, Sarah Killinan. She has thrown this year 222.10, number 8 in the nation coming into the weekend. Not quite as good today. She put herself in the second with that throw. And then Marie Forbes of Clemson, big PB for her. And that measures, she likes it, she knows it. And you see the ring is a little bit wet. Now it's from all that rain this morning. This went early. 219.11 for Forbes. So if Killinan had thrown her best, she would have won by 3 feet. But that's not the case. And Clemson wins. Virginia Tech second and third, so they get 14 points instead of maybe 15. Now here's the men's hammer. John Fay of Virginia. Remember, Virginia's in the team's race for the men. Fay gets it out there early in the competition, and that will put him into third place. Now here's Kristen Johnson, part of the 1-2 dynamic duo of the Duke Blue Devils and the hammer. Kristen Johnson has had the Duke school record a couple of times this year, and this isn't enough to break that, but it is enough to put him into second place. And here's Aymar Palmo Simo. He is the school record holder. He's taken it back from Johnson 2 times, and he is going to hold on to that. And he's also, more importantly, going to be the ACC champion. Duke 1-2 in the men's hammer at 228.11 and 224.9 for Simo and Johnson. John Fay, Cavaliers, 218.4.
Great stuff, Norm. As Simo as the 12th best NCAA mark as well. That was done at the Duke Invitational. Harrison, McLaughlin of Virginia Tech and Kentucky, respectively, as we segue to the women's 400-meter hurdles prelims. Again, this will be one of 3 heats, and we'll focus on Kanaria Gatson. And Gatson has that top ACC time coming in at 56.68. And she's right at that NCAA cutoff line as well in 16th.
Gatson has a very full weekend in front of her. She's going to run the 400 hurdles, as you see here. So that could potentially be 4 races. And then she'll certainly be on the Clemson 4x4. So lots of racing ahead here in Hotlanta.
8 advance to the final. Again, the top finisher, like the men in each heat, plus the next 5 best times. Potts in lane number 7, Ava Klein lane number 8 as well, out of IMG Academy, last year 11th at the ACCs with a time of 59.71.
The 400 hurdles is one of the more demanding events in the sport. You have to be flexible to clear the hurdles. You have to have strength. You have to have speed. And then to combine that with the 400 and a 4x4, that's going to be a long weekend for her. Let's see how she can handle it. Like I said, she's number 15 in the nation in 400 hurdles, number 13 in the 400. This is the first of 5 races for her potentially this weekend.
Set.
Nelson, Alexandru,
Ava Klein out in front for Florida State. In that 56.68 at the Tom Jones Memorial Invitational back on April 12th.
And now moving up is Kanara Gatson in the orange and purple for Clemson.
Gatson looks strong right here at this hurdle, Norm, with, again, Ava Klein on the outside coming in with a seed time at 59.16. Is Klein still out in front?
Klein's still in front, but Gatson's going to catch her. I think Gatson's running very measured. You can see it. Again, with all those races ahead of her, she doesn't want to take too much out of her legs here in the very first race of the competition. Gatson's going to comfortably win the heat. She looks back once, sees she's in great shape.
She took a look at Emily Alexandru.
That's right, and Alexandru is now slipping back. She's going to finish 3rd with Florida State. Klein getting 2nd out in lane 8.
A strong race there.
57.56 for Gatson.
Yeah, very comfortable there. Alexandra, Virginia, as mentioned, finished 2nd, 58.90. Klein, who had that strong start, Norm, on the outside, takes 3rd in this first heat of 3 at 58.93.
Like I was saying with the men, we thought 51 high would make it. I would say in the women, if you get under 59, you probably make it. So I think Klein's got a great shot for Florida State, even though Alexandru clipped her by 300ths at the finish.
Sovetska finishes in 4th, Potts in 5th, and Nelson of Duke, the junior, in 6th. She was a 3-time Division III national champ in the hurdles, part of Duke's Stanford School of Public Policy.
I'd just say welcome to the ACC.
Yeah, well, a little bit different, right?
3 national titles in Division III is fantastic, but when you get to run with the big girls here, it can be a little humbling sometimes.
We saw the damage that Gatson did in the indoors, excelling here from indoor to outdoor. As mentioned, Alexandru at 58.90 finishes in 2nd in that first heat. Again, the top finisher in each heat, plus the next 5 best times, will advance to championship Saturday, as we're getting ready for the 2nd heat for this women's 400-meter hurdles in the prelims.
And what a surprise, we have another Seminole who's one of the best in the heat. This time will be Tyra Wilson out in lane 5. And when Tyra this year is running 56.74, there she is. And very much the full package there for this Florida State Seminole.
A transfer from Texas. Last year, finished 10th in the prelims at 59.51. Stronger this season, the native of Columbia, Missouri. Now she's just outside the NCAA cutoff. That's the top 16 in the individual events. Right now she comes in at 18, that cutoff line. Just in case you're wondering, as I mentioned before the first heat, it's Gatson at 56.68. So let's see what Wilson can do in heat number 2. You have Sims of Duke, that's going to be the outside. Colaire of Syracuse in lane number 4, contending in this 2nd heat as well. They are the lane assignments here for heat number 2. Anybody else you seen looking to challenge Wilson for this 2nd heat, Norm?
I don't think anybody will be challenging Wilson. However, I think it's extremely interesting that potential showdown between Colaire of Syracuse and Sims of Duke, both running 59 low. And most likely one of those two will advance to the final, but I'm not sure both of them are going to get in. So that to me is the interesting challenge. But I think Tyra Wilson's going to assert herself and do really well from Austin to Atlanta.
Yep.
Here, and of course Tallahassee. Tallahassee, unfortunately, was one of those towns that had a lot to deal with this morning with the weather.
Yeah.
So, you've introduced me as the long-term Duke coach. I've been to a bunch of championships here in Atlanta, and I think we're really blessed with the weather this weekend because it should be close to ideal for most of the 3 days.
Yeah, there was a little bit of delay from the field events from the outset. Just wanted to credit everybody, the spectators, the staff at Georgia Tech, our entire crew as well, weathering, if you will, the storm. And you can see in our pictures the conditions are rather perfect here at Georgia Tech, thanks to Georgia Tech hosting. First hosted back in '87, I recollect, when this facility was built in '85. All right, heat number 2 is underway. It is Sims of Duke that is on the outside. Fagal of Clemson, she's just a freshman, coming in at a 101.93 seat time, running second right now. And we expect Wilson, you see in the middle of your picture, for Florida State to contend.
Sims, the junior from Duke, is out hard. I imagine Wilson will come up to her at some point, but right now Sims is in the lead. Merritt Sims, junior Blue Devil. Of course, Duke is certainly in really good position for the team title if their athletes can just come through with what they're capable of.
Watch inside this last 200 here, Norm, for Wilson. Looks like she's going to take the lead right now, contending here with Sims on the outside, and there's all Wilson.
She's over the final hurdle, but Sims is going to grab second. She'll probably make the final. Nice race for Wilson. 58.04, so she was well within herself. And 58.84 for Sims, that's a seasonal best for her.
58.84. Lynn Weaver from Pitt will take third.
Wilson takes heat number 2 again, 58.04. Very tactical race from her in the hurdles. And here's her move, closing into the final inside the 200.
Yeah, she only has 3 hurdles left, and I don't think she's too concerned. She realizes that she was not in the lead at that point. She just turns it on a little bit. See her arm carry there. She swings them pretty wide, but gives her a little extra momentum, and that's all she needed. She's going over the penultimate hurdle there. Oh, that was actually the last hurdle, and wins the heat. And again, and for her, a fairly comfortable 58.04. Sims, on the other hand, had to run a seasonal best to get second.
What did you make of the race from Sims, who got off to that strong start?
Well, it was a bold start. I was worried that maybe she wouldn't be able to hold on to it, but obviously she did, so that's good. We've got 1 heat remaining.
It'll be Sophia Akon of Virginia in lane 3. Jody Ann Dixon of
There's Wilson Sims, Lena Weaver in third. The Panthers led by Alonzo Webb in his 22nd year at the helm. The Panthers program with his son Colaire finishes in 5th in the heat. Fingal 101.54 for Clemson in 6th, heat 2 of 3 in the books.
I remember when Coach Webb first joined the ACC. He was one of the new guys, but now he's got 22 years under his belt. There's one thing he's had the clear title of his entire career here: best dressed coach.
Oh, absolutely.
In the ACC.
Those bow ties, did you sport them at Duke as well?
I never did.
No?
Not the bow tie.
I think you could pull it out.
Skyla Wilson here in lane 8, the senior from Duke, 57.98. So she's got the top time here in heat 3. Coming in, Lydia Troop of Georgia Tech has run 58.37. And she'll be in lane 6. There's more Skyla Wilson. She's Duke's best hope for high points here in the final if she gets there. Don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. As you can see, the track on the first turn is mostly in the shade now. And then when they break out on the backstretch, they'll be in the sun for the final almost 300 meters of the race. But very, very comfortable out here right now. Your announcers are in short sleeves shirts, and there's a small amount of wind, but nothing that's going to really hurt performances at all. Just a nice, calm spring evening. wasn't a calm spring morning. We were some pretty violent thunderstorms here in Atlanta, and much worse to our south. We wish those that had to put up with those are doing well right now.
Yeah, well said. The third different school for Wilson, by the way, a transfer from Penn and Philly, also at Miami, was #1 in the Penn record books. 400-meter hurdles at 58.26 when she was a Penn Quaker. Now with Sean Wilbert's team at Duke, a lot of transfers with this program, and it's not just Duke, but it's across college athletics, and obviously just doesn't pertain to this sport as well. So see what Wilson can do. She comes in with the third best ACC time entering the ACC Outdoors here in Atlanta. Dixon will be in lane number 4. Sanders for Notre Dame, the sophomore, to 59.89 scene time in lane number 7, with Wilson contending on the outside. Wilson's at the top of your screen. You have Akpan as well, the sophomore for Virginia, in lane number 3 to your left on the inside.
Gotta like Wilson. She's got experience and talent. It's usually the two things you need to be very good, and she certainly is. And then the Clemson runner, Jodianne Dixon, in lane 4. She's wanting to qualify to, give more points for Clemson in this race. Clemson, a big-time factor with Duke and Virginia.
Trying to be 1:00.22 to get into championship Saturday, the women's 400-meter hurdles.
Final heat.
A strong start as expected on the outside, as Norman and I documented by Skylar Wilson right in front of us. Along that backstretch here, in second is Reese Sanders of Notre Dame.
Lydia Troop of Georgia Tech is moving well. I'd say she's in second right now. They're in lane 6.
Yep, she takes it right there over Sanders, but it is still Wilson out in front.
Wilson and Troop for Duke and Georgia Tech, respectively.
Wilson in that final 200.
And she's coming up on the
Troop can
final.
do here, Norm. Can she make that move right now?
Troop is definitely looking like she's doing everything she can to stay in there.
Can Wilson fend her off?
Wilson
Duke
will.
has it right now.
Yeah,
And it looks like it will be Skylar Wilson that will take the third and final heat.
She got it, but not by much. 57.70 for Wilson, so this is going to be a big PR for Troop. 57.76. That's like 6/10 faster than she's run so far this spring. With Skylar Wilson, your winner of heat number 3, 57.70. And that is her fastest time in the season as well, by 28 hundredths of a second. So seasonal best for both Troop and Wilson in heat number 3. And we'll give you the final qualifiers in just a minute. There you go. We'll have that graphic up for you soon. But needless to say, Gadsden, your top time qualifier, in 57.56. Wilson, your second fastest, in 57.70. And Troop of Georgia Tech, third fastest time overall. She doesn't get the big Q because it wasn't an auto qualifier, but there's the individual heat times. That Lydia Troop, 57.76. That is a nice improvement. Like we said, full 6/10 faster than she's ever run before. And that's a lot in the 400 hurdles.
Yeah, congrats to Troop. I thought a very strong race from her. Came in with the 4th best ACC time, representing Georgia Tech, hosting here from Kennesaw, Georgia, and Harrison High School.
And again, when you're looking at the overall team race, we expect Clemson, Duke, and Virginia to battle it out on the women's side. And Duke and Clemson especially. Well, in the 400 hurdle heat coming up, we're going to have 2 Tigers and 2 Blue Devils. So it's going to be tough to find. Here's their qualifiers.
So congratulations also to Virginia's Emily Alexandro as well, qualifying for championship Saturday. More to come from Atlanta from the ACC. Norm Ogilvie, our entire great crew at the ACC Outdoor Track and Field Championships. First day of the heptathlon is underway. And Norm, let's roll through the first 3 events.
Yes, it's a 7-event competition over 2 days. The 100 hurdles comes first. And there is no Jada O'Brien in this heat, who is a defending champ from Notre Dame, but there is Brianna Smith from Duke on the outside, and she rolls up 973 points in winning the hurdles. Move to the high jump. and we're going to take a look at Lydia Bartolai of Pittsburgh. She had a great indoor meet in several events, and she looks good in the high jump there, 5'9.25". She was primarily a high jumper in high school. They moved her up to the multi-event, and she's been excelling for the Pitt Panthers. Then we go to the shot put, and we see Brianna Smith once again. This is her second throw. She's also a very good high jumper, but her shot putting has really helped her in the last few ACC multi-events, and this time 40 feet 4 inches. She leads after 3 events with 2,544 points. Bartolai second, 2,467, and another Pittsburgh athlete third, 2,424 for Ili Stigenda.
You're spot on there, out of the Netherlands. Recent ACC Athlete of the Week. So we are going to segue to event number 4 of the HEP. And we will have 2 sections here in the 200-meter. Weekly, Bush, Stoutland, Spoor, and Kapoor of Clemson will be in lane number 7. The native of New York, 16th in the heptathlon last year at the championships. Stoutland as well has been strong. A transfer from Illinois, by the way, out of the Big Ten, the 9th best pentathlon in Illinois history for the Fighting Illini.
If you're wondering how they pick these heats, you enter with your seasonal best time in the 200, and so they'll run the faster athletes in the second section. And there you see Brianna Smith waiting patiently for her shot to get on the track, along with a few other athletes. So it's not necessarily your best scores in the HEP, but your best 200 times.
Important distinction, thank you. Yeah, Weekly, freshman from Notre Dame. Hurdles is her best. That was also accomplished at the Notre Dame Invitational on the 60 hurdles, to be exact. Just look out for Weekly as well in this first section. She's in lane number 3 on the inside with Bush of Wake Forest. She's a native of Australia. Wake's number 1 in the pentathlon and HEP as well.
I'm sure a lot of these heptathletes here are very anxious to run a warm weather 200 at the end of the pentathlon. These early pentathlons in late March, early April, I mean, they might probably only do one, and if the weather's cold and nasty, they got to almost hold back in this event so they don't pull. But they got a chance to really let it loose here in this good weather in Atlanta. And UNC looks like they're going to take 1-2 in this first and theoretically slower section.
Yeah, look at Notre Dame, though. Weekly, as I mentioned, 25:09 for Ellis Weekly, the freshman, coming in first in this first section. Stoutland, good surge late in the 200 at 25:48. Look on the inside here at Weekly in this one, Norm.
Yeah, I'm looking. I totally blew that. I thought we had
I was right there with you. It's okay. I got you.
Notre Dame. Well, of course, she trained with Jade O'Brien, so she probably knows everything you could want to know about the heptathlon.
Hopefully O'Brien is okay. I remember talking to her at the indoors, just mired by a slew of injuries. So
yeah, well, she came
missing O'Brien.
Yeah, she came back well, though, after that. So,
she did.
Yeah,
she did. That's true.
She'll be good. This is more of a, we don't want to do too many heptathlons in one spring. And when you're certainly headed to the NCAA championships, you don't need to hammer out more tough scores. Everybody knows Jada will be really ready when they hit Eugene in June. But now we got our faster heat of the 2, and there you see the focus on Brianna Smith. Smith, an excellent high jumper, not the best one today, but really good in the hurdles and the shot put. And she, without O'Brien, has probably become the favorite for this women's heptathlon. But you have to get through all 7 events. You can't afford a 0. There's Bartolai. And you know, Lydia, when she was in high school, was primarily a high jumper, like I said, but she also really liked to sprint. She loved to run on the 4x or the mile relay, 4x4 relay. And then I guess they got the idea, well, if you can high jump and you can run,
and she can run.
We could put a shot put in your hands and a javelin and maybe teach her hurdles. Anyway, it's worked, and she's become a factor in this overall heptathlon as well. And there you see the best dressed coach in the ACC there, in a suit, in the infield. Okay, Smith out well, and Bartolai to her inside.
Stigenga's on the outside as well, but it looks like it's Smith.
Bartolai now coming on.
Yeah, coming into the inside. Smith hanging on. Steigenga. Looks like she has the lead right now. Here comes Smith with the lay search. How about Baudelaire? And it's Baudelaire who takes it for Pitt on the inside. 24-42. How about that late kicking for Baudelaire?
Yep. She definitely sees herself as a runner. We saw that on the 4x4 in Boston. She just ran a heck of a anchor leg on her Pitt relay team. But nice surge there. Yeah, it shows they've moved her maybe into her best overall event. But it was good to see her high jump 5.10 earlier today. So Smith actually ran really well, and then just on the end just sort of ran out of gas. But, you know, she's still in this very much so. She gets second. Steigenga was the person that kind of fell back most.
So, Norm, for those that aren't aware, how do these times factor into the overall heptathlon competition?
Well, there's just simply a point score, point value for each performance. 24-42 is worth X number of points, etc. And then you add them up. After 7 events, you get a point total. And there you see the times. Brianna Smith, 1700s back of Baudelaire and Steigenga, 1400s back of Smith. So they'll get a substantial amount of points on those, and we'll pass those along once they are calculated. There we go. So Smith with a 61-point lead after 4 events.
We were very familiar with up in Boston in the indoors.
Certainly was. He was fantastic, and he is very much like Clemson's Kinnear Gadsden, trying to come up with a really tough double, the 400 and the 200. His 400 event is his best. He's 3rd in the nation at 45.20. Here in the 200, he is not even the fastest in the ACC, but he does rank 2nd. Only Clemson's Cameron Rose has run faster at 20.48. Lincoln the Fort's time 20.60. Let's not forget he's only a sophomore.
Yep. And
he's truly the hero of this Virginia Tech men's squad.
Tillman as well, his teammate in lane number 6, affectionately known as KJ out of Tucker, Georgia, won the 200. Back in 2022 in the outdoors, that broke an 11-year school record for Tech at 20.41. Can he do that here in the first of 4 heats? 6 in each heat, except heat number 2 will have 5 runners, starting the men's 200. And all gearing up for Championship Saturday.
To get to Championship Saturday, you got to qualify on Thursday in the 200. Judson Lincoln out in lane 8 is leading, but to his inside.
That's Tillman as expected, Norm. Look at this race by Tillman. Looks like Lincoln still out in front. White on the inside, too. It is Judson Lincoln like we saw in the indoors in the 400. Getting it done at the 200 in heat number 1 at 20.64.
Yep, just a little bit off of his season's best. 20.63 officially. KJ second, 20.83. And then McDonough of Pittsburgh runs a really nice race for him. 21.03. There is Lincoln. Again, he's also got the 400 and the 4x4 all ahead. So this is the first of likely 5 races for him this weekend. KJ really put the heat on him early, making Judson have to work a little bit harder than maybe he wanted to. But very nice race also in 3rd for McDonough. That time of 21.10 may be enough. We'll have to wait and see. Again, there are 4 heats at a 200, so it's just a winner and the next 4 best times. So it's a tough task to advance if you're 3rd. Mathematically, it's working against you, but 21.10 might be enough. There's all those qualifying times. The Virginia athletes probably not advancing, but Virginia was not expected to score any points in this event, so that's not too much of an upset to their team plans. Here's Cameron Rose, who we talked about, the fastest time coming in. Cameron is ranked 25th in the nation. This is an unusual year where we don't have a top ACC 200-meter runner at this point, not headed to the Nationals. But Cameron found a way to do it indoors, and he has been the leading Tiger sprinter those past couple of years. He's a senior now.
And he is our defending champion here in the outdoors. So can he replicate what he did in the indoors, to your point, here in Atlanta? That cut time, by the way, as you were referencing, is at 20:38 by Max Thomas of
Yeah, so
South
he
Carolina.
really only has to run a tenth of a second faster to make the cut line. But as we said, a tenth of a second is sometimes a tall order in the 200. They got good conditions though, and it might work.
Thorogood was 4th in the 200 at the ACC Indoors up in Boston. Hussey as well in this with a seed time at 20/85 at the Virginia Challenge. But we'll focus on the defending champ here in Rose. On the outside, left side of your screen.
We've had some wind at time. Right now, the American flag is dead still.
But Hussey trying to contend stride for stride with Rose.
Hussey
Rose
is
still
out
in
well.
front.
Hussey is running really well.
Yeah, part of that 4x4 and 4x1 teams. Can Hussey hang on here? Here's Kidd as well. It's going to be Hussey or Rose, but Rose with a surge, out-kicking Hussey, and gets it in the second heat, coming in close to 20.92 for the defending champ Rose.
And I think Kidd of Clemson came up for third.
Yeah, he looked good there for Clemson.
Yeah, not as fast as third place in the previous heat. So I would think Rose and Hussey, though, are in great shape. Very good race for Hussey. Rose was within himself, 20.92. Like I said, he ran 20.48 earlier this year. So
Hussey got off really clean here, Norm.
He did, and got up to the dry face without forcing it too much. And then his arms are strong. He's in good shape. I think he knows up to right about here that he was winning the heat, and he of course knew how good Cameron Rose was. So very nice job. Pittsburgh and Clemson probably advancing to the final out of heat number 2.
Remember, Rose beat his teammate DeAndre Anderson. The ACC Indoors we called up in Boston. So Rose outlegs Hussey. Kind of a hometown race for him out of South Gwinnett High School, close to Griffin Track here. Kidd taking third, as Norm mentioned, a strong race from Daniel Kidd at 21.29. So 2 heats in the books, 2 more to go. So we'll transition to heat number 3. And as mentioned, the guy that I just teach, DeAndre Anderson, as mentioned, second of the ACC Indoors in this event. The native of Jamaica will be contending in the 3rd heat in lane number 7.
Yeah, Anderson has the fastest time coming in heat number 3. On the inside, Pittsburgh has another 200-meter runner to offer a challenge. This one's Darren McQueen. He's a sophomore for the Panthers. He's run 20.99. So we also have a third athlete in this heat under 21 seconds coming in. That's Ali Diaby of Virginia Tech, a junior for the Hokies. But we're looking at Anderson right now. He'll be in lane 7, the senior for the Tigers, DeAndre Anderson, the best of 20.54 this spring.
And Diaby's in lane number 6, Singleton Jr. as Georgia Tech hosting in lane number 5. You have Morgan and McQueen in lanes 3 and 4 respectively. But Dungy Day is on the outside as well. This is heat number 3 of 4. See what the freshman from Duke can do on the outside on the start. We're nestled here in the men's 200-meter prelims if you're just tuning in. All gearing up for Championship Saturday, part of day 1 of our coverage with our great crew here at Griffin Track.
This is heat 3 of 4. Winner of each heat and the next 4 fastest qualify.
See Anderson right now for Clemson with a strong start. See if he can take this wire to wire. Diaby trying to contend for second as well. Singleton, the freshman from Georgia Tech. Strong kicking here by Anderson. And it's going to be all DeAndre Anderson in heat number 3.
With Diaby second.
Yeah, the 2 guys that we were expecting, close to 1 and 2. DeAndre Anderson excelling just like his fellow Clemson Tiger did. Cameron Rose in the previous heat at 20.78, Norman, heat number 3.
Yep, right now I think the bubble time would probably be about 21.10. That was the 3rd place in the first heat. I don't think the 21.18 will make it, but Anderson and Diaby likely to get in with those times. Really good first 100, but then even better second 100 for Anderson, coming off the turn with power and confidence. So senior from Clemson will join his teammate Cameron Rose in the final.
So congrats there to DeAndre Anderson of Clemson. Right now looking like that qualifying time, 21-18. Eric Singleton Jr. of Georgia Tech just squeaking in there right now. There you see Anderson Diabe. Singleton, as mentioned, finishing third in that heat. He's right on the cusp, though, of advancing to championship Saturday. We will see if he will be there with the fourth and final heat of the men's 200-meter upcoming. Look at Ezra Mellinger of Duke, the senior.
Mellinger was a great surprise at the ACC indoor meet. He made the podium with a third-place finish in the indoor 200, and that hadn't been done by a Duke guy since probably Dave Sim making the Olympic team in 1956. The other surprising story for Mellinger, the Pennsylvania native, he was primarily a jumper his first few years here at Duke, and then he's always run the sprints to train for the jumps, but now it's kind of turned around where he's training primarily for the 200 meters. And here's Cone of Florida State. He's been a great runner for the Seminoles for years. Here in Heat 4, he's got lane 4. His best time, 20.79. Mellinger's time, 20.78. So it should be a really good duel between Cone in lane 4 and Mellinger in lane 7.
Yeah, 6th in the 200 last year for Ishmael at 21.06. So I expect Florida State, lane number 4, as mentioned, Mellinger as well from Ronx, PA. Back in 2021, to your point, he was quite the accomplished long jumper, a second-team All-ACC competitor in 21, also last year as well. So we'll focus on Cone and Mellinger here in this one. Jalen Gordon for Miami, a senior, also in this final heat. Singleton Jr. 21-18, right at that last qualifying spot for Saturday for that top 8.
Mellinger out well in 7. He's already ahead of Parker of NC State. Mellinger running very well. Can Cone get up close to him? The answer is probably yes.
Comes Cone. Good turn there to the last 50. Can Mellinger hang on? It looks like it's going to be Ishmael Cone.
Cone.
Bob Raymond's team. And he's on to championship Saturday. 20.68 for Cone, but Mellinger looks strong throughout that one as well. 20.89. That will get him onto Saturday's final as well.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, if you're under 21, you're going to make it. We'll get the official bubble time soon, but certainly sub-21's in. And, oh, the fall. Look at that. And that is Joannis of the senior from Florida State in lane 6. Tough break for him. The momentum is taking over. He's just rolling. All right, here comes Cone. He's rolling in his own on lane 4, taking away from Mellinger in the last 50 meters.
Hopefully, Joannis is okay.
Looks most likely like a hamstring.
We saw that at the end of the indoors as well. Don't want to see too many of those injuries, or really any at all, but it is Cone. Heat number 4 going to championship Saturday, the men's 200 meter. Mellinger second. Jalen Gordon is not going to get there and qualify. It looks like Georgia Tech Singleton falls out as well, thanks to what Mellinger did in this heat.
And we called it right in Heat 1. McDonough of Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, is the last one in at 21.10. Sometimes I just get lucky.
Yeah, you're spot on, Norm, with all the prep that you do. McDonough gets in a pit as mentioned. So does Diaby. Cameron.
The indoor meet in Boston, running in short dashes and hurdles and 200s. She's a real qualified sprinter for the Clemson Tigers, and we expect a win from her here in heat number 1. Also keep your eye on Haley Bieber of Duke. She ended up on the podium, very unexpected, much like Mellinger, and getting a third indoors in Boston.
Yeah, number 3 in Duke history at 44-13, part of last year's NCAA Outdoor 4x1 team for Bieber.
24-13, I'm hoping.
Yeah, heat number 1 underway, all good.
There's Bieber out to the early, but also on her inside from Virginia. No, it's Clemson. That's Vandermeer. Never mind. Vandermeer, as expected, in the lane 4. Challenged by Bieber
as well. Can Bieber hang on here past Vandermeer? Haley Bieber takes it at the end for Duke. And the senior cashes in heat number 1 at 23-29.
That is a seasonal best for Bieber at a great time. She just ran really well. And you know, she's been with the program throughout her career. She is not one of the transfers to Duke. She's been with Duke since her freshman year. She's a senior now.
Yeah, from Naperville, Illinois. Third last year at the ACCs in the 100 and 200. Look at that time again, 23-29. What does Bieber do here to fight off Vandermerve?
She has a really strong arm carry. Lots of, as you can see, she goes side to side. But, I mean, she's just tough and fit and very determined. I mean, so was Vandermeer, but that was a really strong race for Bieber, and we'll put her in the final. Not a huge surprise, but that's way faster than she's run so far this spring, so good for her. Vandermeer, though, will very likely make the final with the 23:38.
By 9 1/1000ths of a second over Vandermerve. So Duke has Bieber up and top. We expect Vandermerve to be there as well for Clemson. Ofatan also a strong 200 as well at 23:90. Here's Stoilova of Clemson, so we have another Tiger to feature. Last ran the 200, the UCF Knights invite where she finished third at a time of 23:17. Norm, she's over in lane number 8.
She is very talented for the Clemson Tigers. 23:17 this spring. She's going to get a little competition, I think, on the inside in lane 4 from Alyssa Robinson of Miami, who's run 23:40 this year. So they're within a couple tenths of each other. There's Geyser from Duke at 24:07. She had a very solid indoor season. She's been a big part of most of the Duke relays as well. They have good 4x1s and 4x4s. So we're looking at Clemson and Duke, you know, heading down to the wire on the team title.
Geyser was 4th in the 200 last year at the ACCs, contested in Raleigh. Douglas will be in lane number 3. Robinson, as Norm mentioned, in lane number 4. Pitt is Braggs in the middle in lane number 5.
Braggs just a freshman.
Yeah. Number 2.
And Stoilova on the outside, and Geyser from Duke, it appears to be in second.
Guys will get it here in this.
And now Pittsburgh.
Last 50, but it looks like it is Stoilova who's still out in front. Here comes Robinson as well on the inside. Stoilova on the outside will take this second heat. Just by how much, though?
Geyser second and Robinson in third.
Stoilova, Norm, at 23:51 over Geyser's 23:85.
Coming now back to the start, we want to take a look at lane number 5 with the blue hair. A little bit of a stumble there, but she stays on her feet. That's Braggs from Pittsburgh. Actually came back and was momentarily in the top 3. I don't know how much that stumble cost her, but she will not be advancing in all likelihood.
So there's Stoilova who takes it. Third at the ACC indoors as well, as Norm and I recollect back in Boston a couple months ago in the 60 at 7:32. She mirrors that here in a little bit of a longer race in the 200. In the sprints at 23:51. The same with Geyser. Alyssa Robinson also ran very well. The transfer from Indiana, native of Indianapolis, broke an indoor record last year in the 300 at 38:08. Was part of IU's 4x4 team. It's Robinson from Miami at 24 flat. Braggs just behind her as well. So 2 in the books, Norm, as we go to heat number 3 on Griffin Track.
Stoilova taking a little hydration after her heat 2 win. Now coming up on heat 3, we get a double dose of Blue Devils, but we also have Clemson, Miami in the race as well. Probably your favorite coming into heat 3 would be out in lane 6, Mackenzie Pierre Webster of Miami. She's run 23:19 this year.
So as we wait for McGinnis to come out in Jackson, how much stronger has
Pete? We will not see her in the meet.
Yeah.
So if you pull out, you're done.
Wow.
So that takes her off the 4x4 and potentially the 400 as well. But anyway, she had some injury problems indoors. She battled back to run at ACCs and ran fairly well earlier this spring. She's probably just a little nicked up. And my guess is that she's not fully injured, but they want to try and save her for regionals and potentially nationals, since Duke has some big prizes. But here's her teammate, Julia Jackson. She has the second fastest time in the heat behind Pierre Webster of Miami. She's run 23:69. Again, she's a better 400-meter runner, but certainly capable of making this final.
Yeah, she ran 53.09. That was good for fifth. And you're speaking of the 400 at the ACC Indoors in Boston, a two-time state champ out of Scotch Plains, New Jersey. Myrie, we saw excel in Boston as well. In lane number 5, Pierre Webster. Lane 6, Joseph Sonsini for Boston College. In lane number 8,
yeah,
job that Pete Watson is doing, taking over that program for the Eagles. Go ahead.
I actually shortchanged Myrie. She has the second fastest time after Pierre Webster at 23:26.
Yep, good call.
So, yeah, and Clemson, Myrie's super important for Clemson too, as they need to get every point they can in what should be an incredibly close team race with Duke over Friday and Saturday.
We saw them get points in the women's hammer to start. Okay, here's heat number 3. Sassini on the outside for Boston College. Joseph for Georgia Tech as well coming in too.
Myrie actually in the lead. No, I'm sorry. That's
Pierre Webster.
That's Webster.
Yeah,
Pierre Webster
is out in front. That's all right. Pierre Webster over Myrie. It looks like it is going to be the female that we focused on, Pierre Webster, that will take this third of the fourth heat, Norm, at 23:06.
Yes, sirree, 23:06, and her teammate Robinson's loving that. She knows she's got a teammate in the final now. Myrie gets second, 23:42. Julia Jackson off her seasonal best at 24:07, but she still has her main event, the 400, still to come. A nice race by Mackenzie Pierre Webster.
Back at the LSU Alumni Gold, she ran 23:19. What'd you make of the start here of Pierre Webster?
Very strong start. You see here by, about 10 meters, she's already made up the stagger on the Georgia Tech girl.
Yeah, wow.
And she's off and running, so to speak, and no one's going to catch her.
I think Myrie still will be in there at 23:42 come championship Saturday. Right now, the qualifying time slated 4 of 8. Held by Alyssa Robinson of Miami at 24 flat. At this moment, segueing from heat number 3 to the fourth and final heat of this women's 200 meter here in the prelims.
Yeah, 23 mid should definitely get you in at this point with one heat remaining. However, the favorite of the entire event is going to be unveiled very quickly. We've seen her, of course, already. She was a double sprint champion indoors in Boston. She's only a sophomore for the Seminoles, but already a multiple ACC champion. As you see those heat 3 results. We're talking, of course, about
Deja Dufresne. Won the 200 outdoors last year, 22:67 for Bob Raymond's team. Indoors at 23:16. Norm, what's that transition like running just this race, indoor versus outdoor? How did you mentor your student athletes at Duke over time, making that transition from the indoor to the outdoor tracks?
Well, the 200 meters are far, the 200 meter sprinters are far in favor of running outdoors.
Sure.
Because there's no bank to deal with. There's just one easy turn instead of 2 tight turns. And yeah, I didn't coach very many sprinters to begin with, so that I left that up to my sprint coaches. But yeah, it's not a difficult transition. Everybody can't. By the end of the indoor season, they can't wait to get outdoors. You know. Now the only exception to that is if they have bad weather in the early part of the outdoor season, which certainly is true for the more northern members of the ACC. But for a school like Florida State, you've already got really nice weather most of the time in March.
Yeah, speaking with a lot of coaches from down south, not so much focused on the indoors, even though they want to perform well, but some of them don't have indoor facilities. Anyhow, here's Dufresne, fifth best NCAA time coming in. The only ACC sprinter, by the way, in the top 16. So 16 individuals will go to the NCAA meets in Oregon. Right now, she cashes in at number 5 on that list at the moment. SEC is also going on as well in other conference meets. So she's got that top ACC time that was accomplished at the LSU Invitational at 22:58. Anybody you're eyeing that could possibly contend with Dufresne in this fourth and final heat? Looks challenging to me.
I think she's the top 200 meter runner in the ACC, and I also think she's the top 100 meter runner in the ACC.
Yeah.
And while she's ranked 5th in the nation in the 200, she's number 3 in the country in the 100 coming into the weekend.
So we've seen some ACPAN as well. You mentioned of the family, a lot of history in the sport. And Virginia, the sophomore.
Akpan's still running in high school track. I called that name a couple times this indoor season up in New York. So yeah, it's a very strong family and a good one to get your recruiting hooks into. Keep them coming.
Kanaya Johnson in lane number 8 out of Valdosta, Georgia. 23:62 with a seed time. She was second at the Clemson Tide Invitational in early April. Again, she is on the outside in lane number 8. DeFran, by the way, in lane number 5, right side of your screen. See the FSU on her red singlet.
DeFran, the only person in this field that's well under 23 seconds. She's run 22:58 this season. DeFran on the outside in the red hair.
That's Kanaya Johnson, lane number 8 to Franz, and right there in second. I'm right there with you.
I was so anxious to
know.
crown her because she got out well. But yeah, DeFran is definitely in the middle of the track.
Got 2 Seminoles out in front, but who will it be? It will be DeFran taking this 4th and final heat. She'll advance the championship Saturday at a time of 22:81.
Meanwhile,
for DeFran.
Johnson running 23:26, another very nice time. In fact, Akpan may have gotten in with the 23:48.
I think she does squeeze in. Robinson, it looks like, is going to fall out for Miami. But it will be Akpan that gets 3rd. Kanaya Johnson's mentioned got 2 Seminoles out in ton. So Johnson to your left, and it's DeFran on the right side of your screen on the inside. That after that first quick turn, it was all DeFran.
Yeah, well, the start for Johnson was so good, I just started to assume it was DeFran, but great race. 22:81. As you can see, a full 5/10 plus over Johnson, and then Akpan is going to make the final with that 23:48. The bubble time is going to be 23:51, so Stoilova of Clemson is the last one in. Clemson gets 3 into the final of the 200.
Continuing day 1 of the ACC Track and Field Championships, and more to come from beautiful Atlanta in just a moment. 4 events of the decathlon in the books, and here's what's transpired.
Yes, decathlon, 10 events over 2 days. This is the first event, the 100 meters. Looking towards the middle of the track, you've got Duke and Virginia battling it out. Gage Knight winning that first event. Long jump now. This is Edgar Compre of Miami, and he takes off literally in the long jump, getting a big one out there, and that gives him the lead. He's expected to win it all. He is one of the top decathletes in the whole country. Here's the shot put now. Compre, another really strong event for him. And as you can see, puddles from the earlier rain sitting outside. This one measures a very nice distance for him, gives him points. And now we go to the high jump. Compre, by the way, is number 4 in the nation coming into the weekend in the decathlon. This is his 3rd attempt in the high jump at 6 feet. Clears it very nicely. Not one of his very best events, but his combination of 4 events today puts him in a great place. Now the bar goes up to 6'4 3/4. Sean Murphy. Sean Murphy, 3,142 points. Really close with his high jumping. He gets within 4 points of Compre. Ethan Robinson of Virginia, 3,041. So we have those 4 complete, and we will have 400 meters a little later to bring you to conclude day 1.
Yep, we're getting set for that 5th event of the decathlon to wrap up day 1 in this competition. Well, 2 sections, by the way. Campray, who finished 2nd to Paul Kallenberg, who's not competing here in Atlanta, will be in the 2nd section. Young is in lane number 5 in section 1 of the 400. Corley on the outside in lane number 8. 5th in the indoors in the HEP up in Boston. A terrific high jumper in his own right for Miltonberg's team. Isaac Young is in lane number 5. Gainer as well for Clemson on the inside. 12th in the ACC indoors in the heptathlon up in Boston.
If you remember, in the heptathlon, the first heat was the slower 400-meter runners, and that's the same way here. So these guys coming into the meet were seeded based on their seasonal best in the 400. There is Gage Knight of Duke. He did run a good 100 early, but not among the 6 fastest 400-meter decathletes.
There's Toefel. He finished 9th at the ACC Outdoors last year. He's a sophomore from Clemson. Just looking up some of his times, a strong runner. So look for him in this first section for the Tigers. 7th at the ACC Outdoors in the decathlon last year. Actually finished 2nd 2 years ago, Norm, in 2022. See if he can get to that mark. Again, this is the 5th of 10 events in the decathlon. This will wrap up day 1 of the decathlon. And you see Corley of North Carolina, a really good jumper. High and long jumps for him. He's a junior for the Tar Heels at Southwest Christian High School. That's in the Texas Lone Star State. All right, here we go for section 1. This is the 400.
Now, normally this is the event that really wipes you out after day 1. You know, you've been out there for hours, and you got to run a hard 400. But it's a little better than it might have been here in Atlanta with the cooler temps today. So these guys might be able to run a seasonal best in the 400 right here.
And look for Toefel over in lane number 4. He has Gaynor, his teammates, on the inside as well, Norm. It is Corley out in front, on the outside right in front of us.
I think Gage Knight of Duke actually is running well.
I think he's going to take the lead here on this backstretch.
Yeah, Gage Knight in lane number 6.
He won the Duke Invitational back in December, was first in the 100, also in the high jump as well.
They had a very low-key meet in the beginning of the season. But Gage Knight is going to win this in that 100 he ran. He's maybe showing that he can carry it out over 4 times the distance. Very surprising.
Gage Knight,
top tier among the decathletes as well.
3rd in the indoors hep back in 22. And Knight takes it over Sam Corley, flourishing on the outside, but it will belong to Gage Knight in section 1 at 48.66.
And you can tell by Gage Knight's smile that he's happy with his effort. Strong first day for him. Remember, his teammate Michael Bennett will be running here in the 2nd section. There's Knight coming off the turn, clearly in control, with the UNC's right behind him in 2nd and 3rd. The Duke-UNC rivalry once again carried out, this time under a little less fanfare than some of the more famous basketball contests, but Gage Knight winning this section of the decathlon. Still flashing that smile 30 seconds after his race. 48.66. Yep. Very good time for him. Corley, 49.31. Isaac Young, 51.19.
Trying to get big points, so we go to the faster section in section number 2. It will feature Edgar Campray, who's 2nd in the decathlon, as mentioned, to Paul Kellenberg of Louisville. He's in first, Norm, with over 3,100 points.
What's surprising is not that he's in first, but he's only 4 points ahead of 2nd place. So that means here's Sean Murphy, just 4 points back. Murphy having a good day, and he got, he put 4 inches on Campray in the high jump, and that's a lot of points there. So that's why he's still close. Campray obviously with the lead going in. And then you also have to consider Michael Bennett. He's out in lane 7 from Duke.
That's the Colorado native. We were mentioning training at altitude. Also Staken Pickering, a Massachusetts native. 2nd in the ACCs. Back in the indoor championships in the HEP up in Boston.
Bennett's mom, by the way, was a former head women's coach at Wake Forest. She's here watching her son today.
Also, their father as well. Mike was an accomplished decathlon athlete at Northern Colorado, a D2 national champion, 89, 91, and 92. Part of that illustrious Bennett family.
Yep, and Michael's carrying on in a fine way. Right now, he looks like he is right even with Campray.
As Campray, who still looks like out in front over Bennett here with Murphy in 3rd.
Yeah, Campray's turned it on in the last 10 meters. Bennett had gotten fairly close to him. Now Bennett's trying to come back on one more. Campray's, a very good thrower, and 400's probably not his favorite event, but he is being pushed hard by Bennett.
Bennett can make the move here. Looks like Bennett goes out in front, but how about the surge for Virginia on the inside? Robinson coming in, and Ethan Robinson of Virginia. That last 100, 58.09.
And he runs 48.09 overall. Bennett 48.35. Compre 48.84. Some good running here in the second heat. Even Dominic Lowe of Louisville 49.22. Murphy of Virginia Tech 49.24. So a lot of sub-50s. 5 of the 6 runners going under 50 seconds.
Well, look at this move. Look how far back Robinson was into this last stretch.
You see he's got the long legs and the slightly skinnier frame than some of the other decathletes, and that's going to help you when you're a 400-meter runner. Very nice finish. You see he gives great effort, and it ends up giving him the fastest time in the 2 heats, 48.09.
Yeah, his metamorphosis from when he was an accomplished hurdler in Pennsylvania to what he did at Tennessee and now starring for Virginia in the multis, gets 48.09 in section 2. So it is Robinson, Bennett, and Campray in this section. In the table, though, for the decathlon here in Atlanta, you're going to see Campray out in front over Murphy and Robinson. That puts a bow in day 1. 5 events in the books of the decathlon. And more to come from Atlanta here at the ACC in just a bit. Dave Lennon, Norm Ogilvie, and our entire crew back in Atlanta, now gearing up for the men's 1,500-meter prelims. The top 12 advance to the final. Top 3 in each heat, plus the next best times. So we'll see Ngose, Kipsang have the records of the ACC and the NCAA records respectively, but we'll focus in on Ethan Strand out of North Carolina in this first heat.
Ethan Strand is the only 1,500-meter runner to have beaten Parker Wolf this spring. Parker Wolf, of course, happens to be his teammate. Tonight we'll see Wolf a bit later on. Even though he could be a huge favorite in this event, he's going to try the 10K for the first time ever. Strand, though, beat him head-to-head at the Duke Invite just a couple weeks ago. Also running well at that Duke Invite was Austin Gabay. He ran 340.73. He's in this heat, and this should be very competitive. Stephen Jackson of Boston College also good at 341.72.
So the metric mile is underway here in our first heats of 3. Again, the top 12 advance to the final on Saturday. Top 3 in each heat, plus the next 3 best times. Take us through the metric mile, a little bit shorter than the 1,600, obviously.
Yeah, well, originally in the Olympic Games, they had distances of 500. Maybe it's in the Olympic Games, but in early track and field, they had a stadium with 500 meters, so they ran 500,000 and 1,500, and they kind of stuck as the distance. But that's all I'm going to say. I may err myself if I get any deeper into that rabbit hole.
You're our historian here. Is Matondo out in front for North Carolina State?
The big history for me in this event is we talked about Yared Nagus's ACC record, 334.68 back in this meet in the prelims, just like a night like tonight at NC State. And it was my first time as the color analyst for the ACC Network, sharing the mic with Larry Rawson, and we called a collegiate record. It was a great thrill.
Oh, that's awesome. Sorry you have to put up with me.
No, not at all. Nagus has done great things since then. He ran an American record indoors in the mile.
So Matondo here setting the pace. He is out in front for North Carolina State. His teammate Hughes looks like trying to make a move as well. He's on the outside right now. Duke has the aforementioned Gabay as well. He's on the inside, being cornered a little bit.
Austin from South Jersey for the Blue Devils, and he's done all sorts of distances, 5,000 cross country, the 1,200 leg on the distance medley at the Penn Relays, and he's been consistently improving. Now he's a equivalent of a sub 4-minute miler with 340.73 for 1,500 meters.
Vorbach out in front here for North Carolina State. William Winter, Virginia Tech, right now holding on the outside in second. Gabay, I think he's in good positioning here. He's at lane number 3 off of the right shoulder of William Winter.
William Winter has run 344.87, so he would not be considered a favorite in this heat. But here on the outside, Stephen Jackson of Boston College coming up. Jackson ran 3:55 indoors for the mile. So
he's a strong miler for them. He's on the outside for Pete Watson's team.
Moving into second now.
Does take second.
And now Air Strand figuring it's time to
Strand's
get himself into this race.
Just remember this moment here for Strand, coming on for the Alabama native.
And with the bell lap.
Here we go in the last lap at Strand in the final 400.
Strand easily comfortable at this pace. Moving into second is, I think that's Anderson from Syracuse. Benny Anderson, he's run 3:40.59. Jackson in third, Gabay in fourth. Those are who you would pick going in as the top four.
Strand into the backstretch trying to defend his title. This is the first of 3 heats. He's out in front. Jackson and Anderson contending for second. It is still Strand. So we're closing in on the final 200.
Gabay falling off the back. It's now a 3-man race. Strand just wants to stay out of trouble. He wants to qualify without any jostling. And he does that best from the lead, of course. Jackson looking all around. Anderson of Syracuse moves into second.
So it will be Ethan Strand, Benny Anderson, and Steven Jackson 1, 2, 3 in the first heats, with Ethan Strand coming in at 3:42.73.
Very solid, roughly a 4-minute mile there in the prelims. Benny Anderson 3:43.18, Jackson 3:43.26. However, Austin Gabay well off his form, running 6 full seconds slower than his seasonal best. So he will likely be sitting home.
And right before that bell lap for Ethan Strand, that's when he made that move. Remember, Vorbach was actually out in front. That's David, a senior at a North Carolina State, but Strand picked it up right before getting to that final 400.
Yeah, well, I mean, he was very much within himself. I mean, he's run, 3:35, and so 3:42 is pretty comfortable. Yeah, Strand was just very alert, and he realized that this is the time now. Like I said, go to the lead, stay out of trouble. Don't let anyone knock him down from behind, because if you're in a very tight pack, somebody's back kick quite innocently can take you down. There's the 3 auto cues.
Yep,
The advancement is 3 plus the next 3. So Gabay possibly could get in as one of the 3 time qualifiers, but not likely. He just couldn't close. His last quarter was, actually, it's so funny to me. He ran 58.1 on his last quarter, but compared to the other 3, they ran in 54 point.
All right, let's get ready for Heat 2, and we'll center on Wes Porter, the Kansas City, Missouri native representing Virginia, part of Virginia's 4x-mile squad. That was second in the NCAA all-time, 4th in the world all-time, 15:52.30 at the Penn Relays.
Porter's one of a stable of great Virginia milers. He's actually one of the veterans now. He ran under 4 minutes for the first time 2 full years ago. So, really nice progress that he's made. You see a bunch of Duke blue up there, but
Winslow is going to set the pace for Duke along with Cavan.
Yes, James Donahue of Virginia is really good at 3:40.27 coming into the meet.
That was a big-time athlete, 2-time Gatorade Massachusetts Track Athlete of the Year, Donahue of Virginia. Also part of that DMR championship team as well, running that first 1,200-meter leg. Is still Duke out in front, just setting the pace here.
Rory Cavan of Duke out in the lead. He's one of the last of the athletes that I recruited to Duke. Wow. Still running now as a 5th-year senior. He came from Illinois.
As Cavan out in front, followed by Winslow. You have Ethan Mills of Virginia Tech in third. Cavan holding the inside.
Seems like pink and lime green is the color of fashion in the shoe industry in the spring of 2024. And now taking over the lead for Duke is Jake Winslow. He's a senior, a transfer like so many of the Dukies. They've been gone to this very good pattern of getting excellent runners from the Ivy League to transfer over.
Donahue has a lot of room, Norm. He's on the left side of your screen on the outside. Porter is flanked on the inside.
Porter's under control and looking smart, but he can't wait too long. In fact, I'm wondering if he's going to move it up ball. He just looked.
He just looked at his teammate here.
And now a third Duke guy moves up towards the lead. You would think Porter would have offered some resistance there.
He's a little bit behind right now, Wes. Porter, we're speaking of. Duke still out in front with Winslow. Also has Kavan in second. Mills trying to hold on to third. He's about to be passed here. Like that's Paul Specht of Wake Forest. There he is on the outside left side of your screen.
The pace is very, very gentle. I mean, they were like 2:06 or something at 800 meters. Very, very cautious. The last lap, only 60 seconds.
Is Porter cornered in here? Where do you? He's right now in fifth.
Yep, Kavan taking the lead back, Winslow, and then Wilson. Those three Duke guys are making the Virginia runners earn it. I'm sure the Virginia guys will take over. Here comes Donahue and Porter. They'll be fine. They'll be fine. Coming up on the bell lap, 400 meters remaining with 2:45. So no one's running 3:40 here unless they drop a 55-second last quarter.
And a la Strand, that's what Donahue does as he was jetting towards the final 400. And it's going to be Donahue and Wes Porter up top into this backstretch right now. Donahue took a look over to his left on the rail. Didn't see anybody there but Kavan.
Yeah, well now it's Wilson leading the charge for Duke. Wilson and Winslow. But Porter into the lead. Donahue in second. And now from Wake Forest, we have a challenge by Paul Specht. He's a sophomore for the Demon Deacons.
It looks like Wes Porter out in front. Very tactical race from him.
Porter, Donahue, Wilson, 1, 2, 3. They'll get the auto bids.
So Wes Porter, like he did at the Brian Clay Invitational, takes a look to his left and right, and he will finish first in this heat to get the top three, move on to championship Saturday. Goes Virginia 1 and 3. Duke's going to squeeze into second as well. 3:43.07, and a great race for Wes Porter.
Yep, he timed his move well, and you know they're going to look for more races than just a 1500 from him. So again, if you can run smart in the trial rounds and save a little for later in the weekend, that's smart. Wilson pulling into second. He anchored a Duke distance medley at the Penn Relays that ran very well.
He is a great story, Ryan Wilson, the grad student transfer from MIT. He's a native of California, the D3 national champion at MIT in the 800. So continuing what he did at MIT, over to Duke as a transfer. But the story here is Wes Porter takes the second heat over the aforementioned Wilson. Donahue finishes in third. As you mentioned, a good race from Paul Specht, who held on for Wake Forest in the fourth over Kavan.
And remember, Paul Specht ran significantly faster than Gabay did.
Yeah.
2 seconds faster. So Specht is still in the running to possibly make the final, even though you would think that 3:44 wouldn't make it based on the incoming heat times. Now in a heat 3 of 3. Remember, top 3 auto, next 3 overall fastest times. And in this third heat, we have Gary Martin of Virginia with the glasses. He is very, very good. He was a star at the Penn Relays 2 weeks ago for the Cavs on both the DMR and the 4-mile relay.
Native of Warminster, Pennsylvania, and that strong pedigree established in Archbishop Wood High School just outside of Philadelphia. They had the 4th fastest after mile in U.S. history. Also was a PA state record in a sub 400. Look out for Gary Martin in this one. Also a freshman, a very talented youngster in his collegiate days, and Aiden Neal at the 10th ACC Indoors at the mile. In that event as well, won 5 outdoor state titles to his credits. You have St. John, though, out in front for North Carolina, followed by Notre Dame.
On the far outside for Wake Forest, that is Rocky Hansen. If you recall from cross country, he had like one of the fastest times in the conference, and then he didn't run. So we all wondered what happened to Rocky Hansen. Well, he is back here tonight, maybe trying to mix it up again. Just a freshman. He's entering with no time. So one wouldn't necessarily expect that he'd run very fast tonight. Maybe finally healthy again. Gary Martin, though, was a little bit criticized in the DMR at Penn for running a little slow and paying 2 kg. So then he came back the next day in the 4-mile relay, and he hammered. And for the first time in the history of the Penn relays, teams broke 16 minutes in the 4-mile relay. 3 of them did. Virginia ended up third, but it was because Martin pushed the pace on like a lap out that they all went that fast. And that foot racer so many years had been tactical. And the fans finally getting their money worth with 3 sub-16 4-mile relays at Penn. Now into the lead for UNC. That is Aiden Neal, is that?
No, Walker St. John. He's a
yes.
freshman. Yeah, and Ackley has been in second, 7th at the ACC Outdoors last year. Martin is holding on to 3rd, fending off Dagande of Duke. He's right now in 4th, but it is Gary Martin who set the school record for Virginia in the 5K back at the Raleigh Relays at a 13:31.51 clipping in good prime positioning, as Norman stated. Right now in 3rd. St. John, the freshman, just setting the pace on the rail right now.
Very tight, very competitive. My goodness, we've got just less than 600 meters remaining, and everyone's tight. Gary Martin, I like most. He's in the best position. Remember, indoors on the DMR qualifier for Virginia, he ran 351 on an indoor anchor 1600 leg. And now Martin, indeed, taking the lead, but not by much. Ackley of Notre Dame also right in there.
Hansen as well on the outside, too.
And now Aiden Neal of North Carolina, now taking the lead.
Aiden Neal takes the lead at the Bell Lab, coming in with a time at 3:40.33 at the Duke Invitational, the 7th best ACC time. Here comes the move by Martin right in front of us into the backstretch. Gary Martin trying to take the lead. Neal fighting him off on the rail. Let's see what Martin does here.
Martin and Hansen, Rocky Hansen. We have 2 freshmen right in the top 3.
Oh, this is awesome.
And Martin's just a sophomore. This is the future of ACC miling right here. 200 meters to go. Who's going to do it? Hansen looking sprite.
Martin takes that.
Martin in the lead. Hansen, though, looking really good in second. He hasn't even run this distance this spring. 100 meters to go. And now from Duke into 3rd.
It's Dagane.
Dagane, yes. Yeah. He ran on that 4-mile relay at Penn last week that Martin was in. But Martin's going to pull away and win. FSU now. FSU's going to get to 3rd place. Dagane getting nipped at the line. So we will now be able to figure out who's going to the final. That we've got 3 heats complete. 3:43, 3:44.05 for Hansen, the auto qualifier in his first race of the season.
Pronovo's going to squeeze in there too, the transfer from Missouri for Florida State.
Dagny of Duke will get in with a 3:44.31. Not by much, though. It'll be super close. And Simpson of Pittsburgh, probably not. I think you have to run 3:44 to get in. We'll be able to tell that shortly. Look at Martin now. Martin, Hansen, Dagane, who will end up 4th. And Neal, despite leading with not much to go, ends up out of the money.
Yeah, well done by Martin and Prodanov of Florida State for Bob Brayman's team at 3:44.25 to get 3rd in this heat. Right here, great shot by our talented crew. Look at that kicking at the end and the length on those strides.
If we can leave the replay a little bit, you'll also notice Neal here is going to get caught on the inside. Well, he got caught on the inside by the Pittsburgh athlete in the last stride. The close for Gary Martin, 56.11. That is a good quarter any way you look at it. Hansen closed in 56.48, and the FSU runner, Prodanov, closed in 56.20. Dagny, 56.78. So 4 guys sub 57 on the end of that 1500 heat. But Gary Martin doing what we expected and coming away with the auto cue and the win in heat number 3. Now we're just waiting for those final list of qualifiers. Remember, the top 3 in each heat plus the next 3 fastest. I think 3:44 gets in, but 3:44 high may not. As the Virginia Cavs, 4 of them, getting some liquid refreshment. And they're waiting like everybody else to see the scoreboard.
Yeah.
Did the Cavs get 3 in the 1500 final? Did they get 4? Or did they get 2? Not really sure.
Again, the top 12 advancing, for those that are wondering, here in the men's 1500. We're coming up with the women's 1500 prelims in just a moment. All gearing up for Championship Saturday in the midst of day 1 of the Track and Field Championships in the ACC. It's Dave Lennon, Norm Ogilvie, and our entire crew from Atlanta. Look at what Gary Martin has done from just outside Philadelphia. And doing well for Virginia. Seeing another Virginia stalwart up top in Appleton. That's Margot. She's a junior coming in with a seed time at 4:11.41. We'll get to the final qualifiers on the men's side in just a moment if you're wondering. Hannah England with the ACC record as well, but we'll focus again on Margot Appleton for Virginia.
Appleton is very, very good. She's also the top seed in the 5,000. So she'll probably not want to overdo it here in this first race of her weekend. She will hopefully be running 4 miles total on Saturday.
Also watch on the middle of your screen for Florida State, Agnes Mathieu. She's from Switzerland, was a member of the Swiss junior team, a 3-time Swiss national champion in the 1K and 2K back in 2014 and 15. Just the slow strides here to start this 1,500. 12 advanced, by the way, to the final on Saturday. The top 3 in each heat, plus the next 3 best times.
We also expect to see athletes such as Marie Bilo, a freshman for Boston College. She's run 4:16. Agnes Mathieu of Florida State, 4:13. And also a runner that has seemingly been around forever. She's a at least a fifth-year senior, Nevada Moreno of NC State. She's run 4:16.76. And right now, Moreno is in the very back there with bib number 169 on her. But this is a slow tactical affair already. We can see that. One of the things that's going to play into Appleton's hands, one, is that she doesn't have to overexert herself, but two, she's got a great kick. So all she needs to do is stay out of trouble. Right now, she's very much in the middle of that pack. So maybe not the best position for her to be this very second, but she'll get out. And you're talking, if you're
seeing that last split there of Hasselbrock at 58.13. So a slow race to start.
That's 58 seconds, remember, for 300 meters. Yep. That's not the quarter.
Yep.
So, yeah, very slow start. And you can tell by the way they're packed up. Everybody's still in this race. And
so Mathieu and Hasselbrook out in front right now. Looks like Virginia Tech has the lead slightly. Flannery, a hit right now, is in third on the outside. Little movement as well, coming from Molly Grant of Notre Dame on the left side of your screen.
Now coming into this race, Hasselbrook's teammate and overall fantastic Virginia Tech Hokie was going to be one of the top runners in the 1,500. She decided just to go in the 800.
Lindsey Butler?
Lindsey Butler. Yeah. So Lindsey Butler is not in this race.
She's got the 3rd best NCAA time at 4:07.96. She is not competing. That's a good call, Norm.
Hasselbrook, though I'm sure Coach Ben Thomas has great faith in her to do just as well and make the final. Now Moreno, you can see from NC State, coming all the way on the outside there behind Molly Grant of Notre Dame.
She's over on the left. She's a grad transfer, a grad student from Raleigh, North Carolina. Has been with Lori Hennis's team for a long time. 7th in 2022 at the ACCs in this event. She was 23rd at the NCAAs as well. Again, Flannery's on that outside, good positioning as well. Mathieu holding on in front. She's in second to Hasselbrook of Virginia Tech.
Appleton in 4th right now, but a lot of people surrounding her. She's like in the middle of a ever-changing bubble. She's got to be careful.
Watch on the outside for Boston College making the move. That's Bilo that you focused on early on in the race here at the bell.
Less than 400 meters remaining, and Appleton currently in 4th. She really needs to get one of those top 3. Since this is only the first heat, we don't know how, since this is the 3rd heat, we don't know exactly where she goes.
In the backstretch. Hasselbrook sees Appleton to her right hip. Appleton is expected to contend. 2nd in the indoors in the 3K earlier. Appleton takes the lead. Hawk will go in a second. Virginia at 1-2 right now.
Maggie Hawk, the Virginia junior, has only run 4:23, so she's got one of the slower times coming into this heat, but looking good. Hasselbrook in 3rd. That's the other auto cue. Can Bilo of Boston College run fast enough to get in on time? Appleton really moving now. You see why she is one of the favorites in this event.
She takes the first heat coming in only behind Lindsey Butler and Savannah Bush of Virginia Tech and North Carolina State, respectively, of the top ACC times. She's got 2 Cavaliers on top. Appleton and Hawk go 1-2. Hasselbrook, to your point, held on for third, fending off Belo in third for Virginia Tech at 4:30.06. But that first top spot is at 4:28.31 for Appleton. Again, the top 3, Appleton, Hawk, and Hasselbrook, will advance Saturday's championship in the 1500.
Right, so the bubble time early is 4:33.54 to Moreno, but that would be hard to believe that that would hold up. So 1 heat down, a couple to go.
I'll tell you, for a very slow, tactical race, just love to see that the kicking by Appleton in the last 400, maybe even shorter than that, where she just turned it on, because Hasselbrook, give her credit, because she was seemingly leading from the wire. She finishes in third at 40:30.06. She had a great race. Mateague, by the way, who was, contending with Hasselbrook at the top, she finishes in 5th in the first heat.
Well, all you need is, we're going to get to Bush in a second, but Appleton closed in 58.77.
Yeah,
that's all you need
impressive
to know.
How about Savannah Bush?
Samantha Bush is always impressed me with her range. Just a couple years ago, she scored in the ACC 800 and then like 15 minutes later came back and scored in the 5,000. That is really hard to do. So she's got range, she's got speed, and she is the favorite in the 1500.
She was terrific at Cincinnati for the Bearcats. In 2022, she was the outdoor 5K champion. She was a 7-time All-American for Cincinnati, a top 10 all-conference performer as well. Comes in with a seat time at 4:10.92. It is Bush out in front. Whaley of Wake in her home race is out in front right now.
We got so used to seeing Caitlin Toohey lead things for the Wolfpack in the 1500 and the 5000, but now Samantha Bush, she's bided her time, and now she is the leader of the pack.
I want to give you another name that we saw a lot in Boston, Gladys Cheknatich, the freshman from Clemson, from Kenya, 24th in the cross-country 6K, 4th in the indoor 500. She's right now, center of your screen now, moving to the right side.
Gladys is even better in the 800. She's run 2 flat point 53, number 3 in the nation coming into the weekend. So Gladys can excel off a slow pace with that 2 flat 800 speed. So right now she's in good position. As you see, she's wearing hip number 5 in the orange and purple of Clemson. There you see her, that hip 5, Chepnigich. And now Hartman moving up for NC State. Hartman also a very good 5K runner.
Bush, Whaley, Hartman, Chepnigich for Clemson, all in the mix, as well as Altorf, the Suze Altorf of Florida State. At 300, split coming in, Norm, at 49.69 for her. Rodriguez for Louisville also in the mix, but it is Whaley for Wake Forest still leading.
Whaley, very high potential for the Demon Deacons, run 4:18.35 as just a sophomore. Now Chepnigich of Clemson moving very gracefully and comfortably into that top 3 position, but now she's going to get a run for Hartman. Yeah, she went back to the inside.
I'm curious there. She was strong on that outside, went to the inside, as you mentioned. Hartman's to her right.
She's just trying to run as short a distance as possible.
Yeah, makes sense. See if she can get in the middle of 2. Here's that move. A great shot by her crew. Can Lattice get there? Trying to split 2. She can. Into second. What a move by Chepnigich. Bush trying to hang on. She's in first right now. Hartman to the right of Gladys in third.
Bush running calm and cool and collected. Hartman on the outside of Chepnigich. And this is probably the 3 you would pick coming into the race for this heat. Now can a runner like Wake's Whaley break up that top 3 and get a place in the final?
Yeah, she's falling off from first, Norm. Right now I see her in 4th, just ahead of Altorf of Florida State.
Altorf.
Here's Bush. Still out in front over her teammate Hartman. Gladys is in 3rd. Now in 2nd.
Yeah, well, Gladys can now kick anybody in this field. The question is, will she? How motivated is she to make it finals in both events? She looks fine right now. Very under control. Bush and Chepnigich and Hartman.
Hartman's on the outside right now, trying to to take that lead. It is still Bush out in front. Bush is in first, Hartman's in second, Cheptegei is in third. Altorf, good positioning to the right of Gladys into the backstretch, but it's all Bush out in front.
It's a lot of runners in a tight space. Tim of Virginia moving in to a potential advancing position. Remember, top three, next three fastest. First heat was fairly slow, so a lot's at stake in this last 200 meters.
Samantha Bush still out in front, Hartman in second. Cheptegei is on the outside right now. Remember, she's bounced from the inside back out to the right side on the outside from Hartman's right shoulder.
Big battle now between Tim and Altorf for fourth.
Watch the kicking here from Cheptegei.
Altorf into third for a little bit.
Can Bush hang on? Hartman coming in. Look at Tim on the outside. Cheptegei trying to win it here in this heat. Gladys takes it.
And Bush is in trouble. She finished fifth. She may not advance.
How about Cheptegei at 4:15.08 with the strong kicking to outlast Altorf on the inside.
She won a slow heat. The kick wasn't so strong. Appleton ran 58 seconds. Cheptegei only 65.2. The time is not spectacular, and she qualified. She did what she needed to do. In fact, she did just what she needed to do. She qualified as slowly as she could and still got the auto cue. Here's the finish. Look how calm Cheptegei is. She's not straining. The one who's in trouble is Bush. Bush is the one you really thought could maybe get out of this heat with a win. Instead, she's got fifth. And with that time of 4:15.35, she is in trouble.
Look at that shot. 5 contending for that top spot. Also credit Carolyn Tim, the transfer from Kennesaw State, now for Virginia. 12th in the DMRs indoors last year. She gets third.
Tim had the fastest. Tim had the fastest last quarter in 64.96. He was the only one in that group to break 65 on the end. And Tim knocks potentially 2 Wolfpackers out, although there's a reasonable chance Hartman might get in. It just becomes a numbers game at some point.
Also,
but
the Dutch Altorf doing well too in second. Yeah, we still have 15-11. Very exciting.
Still have one heat to go here in the women's 1500.
And we'll see Riley Penn, affectionately known as RJ, the transfer from Cincinnati as well. We'll also see Anna Workman, we know very well. There she is, number 7. 14th in the NCAA indoor mile, part of that DMR team that finished 12th at the NCAAs as well. So Workman to her right from Clemson will be Sumner. What do you make of Vanna Workman in this event?
Workman's solid as could be. She's got plenty of experience as a senior. She's coached by Vin Lanana. That's some pretty good things to have for going into a 1500 final. I'm also interested in Dunn to her immediate inside from Boston College. She's run 4:16.32. Riley Penn, the senior from Louisville, there she is. Penn has run 4:11.97. And then NC State has one more chance to get somebody into the final in case those other the last heat was too slow. And Hannah Gapes, she's a sophomore for the Wolfpack, who's run 4:16.57 outside of her shot. But a lot at stake here in this last heat in terms of who gets in this 1500 final.
Again, we're in the midst of the third and final heat of the women's 1500 meter prelims. And we'll keep an eye on Workman, Penn, Dunn.
Always tough in these early heats when Clemson and Virginia decide to wear the same color scheme. As you see, Clemson in the orange and purple, and Virginia orange and blue, but still confusing. And then we have another Clemson and Virginia runner near the back of the pack. So lots of orange and blue in this heat.
Workman's out in front. Penn, Sumner as well to her right. 1-2.
Penn of Louisville looking around a little bit. She looks very comfortable sitting in 5th right now. So you got BC, Clemson, Virginia, and Louisville out early.
Yeah, Penn won 4 American Conference titles with Cincinnati. She comes in with the 4th best ACC time established at the UCF Black and Gold Invite back in the middle of March. But it's still Workman that we know excels for Vin Lanana's unit. 6th best ACC time at 4:12.73 in this event. The rally relays. She's out in front. Sumner on the inside. Now on the outside in second. Penn is in third. Look at Grant for Notre Dame making a move as well on Sumner.
Grant has only run 4:28.64. Be kind of difficult to imagine her hanging with the leaders all this way. There's Gapes of Wolfpack. The NC State Wolfpack, again, may have lost two of their top 1,500 meters runners in the last heat. Although we don't know that for sure. It depends how fast this heat goes. Hopefully, these athletes are going to be aware of the fact that if they run a little bit faster, they'll have a much better chance of advancing.
And that's exactly what I was going to say to you. Obviously, third and final heat running much faster. I'm just looking at the 300 splits than I saw in the previous heat.
Yeah,
Workman at 54.77.
as opposed to 58 in the last heat. Yes, no, that's it. And that's exactly what should happen, but it doesn't always happen. But I can promise you that. And then one of the orange and blue just peeling way off the back. But we still have 11 athletes, I believe, in this lead pack.
Bryn Sumner sees Workman just out in front, going towards the back stretch here. Oh, a little move there. I saw a little bit of movement on this outside. I think that's Gapes.
It is
right
Gapes,
in front of us.
yeah.
It looks like she extended one of her arms out to get positioning on Sumner on the outside. It is Penn, also for Louisville, left side of your screen, trying to pass Gapes, and does successfully.
But so far, it's been a very workman-like performance out front by the Virginia senior, Anna Workman. Gapes now into second. I'm not sorry, not Gapes. Penn into second. Gapes in about fifth. Riley Penn of Louisville. It's been a while since the Cardinals have put a female 1,500 meter runner in the final, but Riley Penn looking really good right now. Workman, Penn, and now Boston College with Dunn in third.
In the final 400, is Workman still out in front. Penn, 46th, the cross-country championships. She's in second on the inside.
BC 3 and 4, Gapes in fifth. Gapes has some ground to make up. It looks like the top three is pulling away a little bit.
Can Workman take it wire to wire? She was contending, remember, with Bryn Sumner at the top. Sumner has fallen back in the backstretch. It is all Workman with Penn to her outside. To the final 200.
Penn takes the lead, and now Dunn of BC goes past Workman too.
Wow.
Workman can hang on for that third auto spot. That's all she needs to accomplish.
That movement from Penn for Louisville out in front right now. She takes a look to Dunn behind her. Again, the top three will go to championship Saturday. Workman trying to hold on to third over Gapes.
Gapes is in excellent position to get at least one Wolfpack runner in the final.
How about Riley Penn for Louisville? Takes the third and final heat. Workman will fall into third from her first position. And Dunn will take two. So it goes Penn, Dunn, and Workman for Louisville, Boston College, and Virginia, respectively. Penn at 4:22.45 to take the heat.
Yep, and Workman's 4:23.97 counts just as much. So Vinland has got to be pleased with the very smart running by Workman, leading most of the way, staying out of trouble. And they're not overreacting when she gets passed here by Penn and then later Dunn, knowing, hey, third is an auto cue. It's just as good as first or second in these prelims. In fact, it's better because I've got more left in my legs for later in the weekend. And Gapes really probably rising up because she knew that Lori Hennis needs to have a couple of Wolfpackers in that 1,500 meter final. Whether we have one, two, or three, we will find out shortly. Still waiting to hear on the men, which makes me think that there may have been some type of controversy.
So goes Penn, Dunn, Workman, third heat, 4:22.45 for Riley Penn from Corona, California. We'll take a look at the qualifiers on the other side, but Penn, Dunn.
Duke gets two in with Wilson and DeGagne. Donahue also running for Virginia in that final. Two guys from Wake Forest, Specht and Hansen.
All right, Norm, it is time to call a final. We'll first start on the men's side. The men's 10,000 meter final will go 25 laps in the 10K. Nico Young is the NCAA record established earlier this year. We'll focus on Parker Wolf, a guy that did not run earlier tonight, but are going to try to excel here in the 10K.
The story here is the team race and how many points can UNC score in this 10K? I think they can get 21. But anything near 19 or 20 would really put them in good stead. Parker Wolf has never run a 10K before. And it's a long way. It's 25 laps around an outdoor track. However, he is an ACC cross-country champion at 8K. He's an ACC indoor champion in the 5,000 and in the mile. And there are his records, a few that he has. He is clearly the best distance runner in the ACC so far. The only guy that's beaten him so far this year is Ethan Strand, his teammate, who we saw qualify in the 1,500 just a bit ago. So we would expect UNC could go 1-2. Well, who's going to be second? Well, it could be the best guy in the country, Philippe, of the UNC Tar Heels. He was a Division III transfer. And now he's going to be, there it is, Alex Phillip. And the most interesting challenger is Will Anthony of Virginia. The Cavs need to score some points in this 10K too. And that's the most interesting showdown of this entire men's competition is the distance races, Virginia versus UNC. I'm calling this one 20 points for UNC, 6 for Virginia. But of course, it's a long way and many things can happen.
All right, going with Parker Wolf, who again is running this 10K for the very first time. Hard to believe. Second the NCAA's indoors in the 3K. Won the mile and 3K that Norm and I called up in Boston in the ACCs. So we'll see how he will do. Carter Solomon is the defending champ out of Canton, Michigan as well. He's in the mix too. Alex Phillip likely to contend, the native out of Akron, Ohio. Went to the same high school as LeBron James, the D3 transfer from John Carroll.
Now, if you look back about 10 places, you'll see Notre Dame, hip number 33 on the outside, and he just crossed the finish line there. That is a young man named Carter Solomon. Yes. Carter Solomon has won this race. He's also won ACC cross country. You can't rule him out. He hasn't run a 10K this year either. So Wolf and Solomon are true wild cards in this, but they're also very capable of winning. So I talked to Coach Chris Miltenberg earlier today, and he said he was concerned about Solomon. He says, especially if it's too slow. On the other hand, he doesn't want Parker Wolf to have to run too fast, because he also was counting on Parker Wolf to maybe come up with a victory in the 5,000 just 2 days from now. So you think 10K is a long way, try 15K in 2 days.
Can Ehlers believe he's out in front? I just love the chuckle there from the Wake Forest runner there. Alex Phillip, by the way, holds the nation's best 10K time. That was established at the Brian Clay Invitational at 27:51.26.
Yeah, it's hard to believe a runner from northern Arizona doesn't have the fastest time.
Exactly.
But it all depends on where you're running it against who. But if Alex Philippe, what a great story he is. And, you know, when UNC won the men's title in cross country in the fall, Coach Chris Mittenberg, you know, let us all know that it was a combination of transfers. They had a guy from Indiana transfer too on that team. And the fact that he's kept guys around. So it's not like we're not just building a team, you know, with a transfer portal roster. We've gotten both. And he thinks that the influence of Philippe winning you know, Division III national title really brought a very positive mindset to the whole program. And whatever is working, it is working really well for the Tar Heels. They could win the 1,500, the 5K, and the 10K in this meet. And if they do that, they're going to win their Triple Crown, which of course hasn't happened very often.
It's a really, really important point. Colton Sands as well for North Carolina in the mix. Finished 12th the ACC meet last year at 30:35:50. Run some very respectable distance races. Still Ehlers out in front very early. Durfell's in second for Syracuse. Harari is in third. Miss Gina is in fourth for Florida State on the inside.
Now, as fast as Phillip has gone, #1 time in the country for NCAA purposes, 27:51. The second fastest time this season has been turned in by Will Anthony, the freshman at Virginia, 28:21.93. So that's a 30-second margin.
Yeah.
So it's probably hard for some people to imagine why we're not talking about Phillip and more about Parker Wolf. But if you've seen Parker Wolf race, you know why we think he has got the total package that he can win this 10K.
Now, you bring up Anthony, and he has the 22nd best time nationally. That was run at the Raleigh Relays. That's just below that NCAA cut line at 28:17.15. Alex Meyer of Oklahoma State holds that. Again, that's the top 16 times. For those that don't know individually, you got the top 12 in the field events.
Actually, that's different outdoors, because outdoors you have a regional qualifying. So if you want to make the 10K, you got to do it at regionals.
Right.
And it's actually 12 from the east and 12 from the west.
Okay.
So, so it's a little different format for outdoors. But right now, Ehlers continues to lead. Doesn't have quite as large a smile on his face. But what's interesting to me is to bring up that point, is that they don't have to run hard here, because all these guys are into regionals. They're safely into regionals.
Right.
Now what they have to do when regionals come in 2 weeks, they have to be ready on that day to run fast. So I would think Will Anthony's going to, if anything, chill a little bit. Now what's the complicating factor there is they need the team points.
Right.
So he can't chill too much. So a lot of things at play here when considering the 10K and the strategies these coaches are going to tell their athletes to run. Will Anthony wears hip 2, and as you can see, he's not even up near the front right now. He's buried back a little bit further, because there he is. He's in about 10th in the orange and blue. Is wearing hip 2 is Will Anthony. He's just going to chill. This is very, very early days in this race. The time for the 1,600 meters, 4:51.71, so barely under 5-minute pace. And these guys can run 4:30 a mile if really pressed. At least the best ones can.
So we're just getting underway here in the 10K with Gavin Ehlers out in front. Silas Durfels in second. Harari is in third for Syracuse. More to come. Part of this 25-lap race. We're going to crown our first champion at the ACCs in a moment. Back at the ACC Outdoor Track and Field Championships, Dave Lennon, Norm Ogilvie, our entire crew, we're in the midst of the 10K. We're going to crown a champion here with one of our running events. Ehlers still out in front, has led for the last couple of laps for Wake Forest, with Durfel in second. O'Donnell is in third. In case you're wondering, Parker Wolf is running in this. He's on the inside right now behind a bevy of distance runners, running the first 10K in his career. Very decorated for North Carolina.
Still very early. We have not even hit the 2-mile yet. So plenty of time for this all to sort out. The positive news for all these 10K runners is the weather conditions. You can be down here in Atlanta and it can be really thick with the humidity and heat. And tonight it's beautiful weather to run a 10K. The track is completely void of sun at this point. There's still blue skies above, but the heat has definitely melted away. We are probably sub 70 degrees. Now that's still fairly warm, but for Atlanta it could be, high 80s and 90% humidity. So this is good stuff. And again, you got to balance that with the fact that most of these guys are already qualified for regionals. And again, the interesting thing is, in terms of that big team title battle, it's Virginia versus UNC very much. And right now, Virginia's got a bunch of guys, along with Syracuse,
also in the mix too, that we highlighted early on from New Zealand.
Paul O'Donnell of Syracuse is running third right now. He's been a great runner for the Cuse all throughout his career, including in cross country and the indoor 5K. There now into like 5th place is Will Anthony of Virginia, second fastest time coming in, and the guy I've assigned 6 points to before the race. I think he's got a great shot at getting third in this thing.
He has been kind of in that top 5 throughout this start, and for the last couple of miles.
And we just saw in the last 5 seconds Parker Wolf for the first time. There he is on the very inside, wearing hip number. Now I can't see him again, but he's on the way inside. He's wearing a headband. Okay, O'Donnell taking some liquid. This is the first time we've seen guys go to the water, and They were 9:49 at 2 miles. So again, barely under 5-minute pace. But they are a third of the way through the race now.
Wolf is 16, by the way. Still Ehlers out in front.
I thought I saw it at 6. So
No,
16
I
makes
know,
sense.
went
There
away.
he is.
Yep.
Parker Wolf just behind the Florida State runner and inside of the NC State runner. And there he is, Parker Wolf.
I love the communication, though. And you saw it with a great shot by our crew there. Durfel talking with O'Donnell, both distance runners from Syracuse here, part of this tactical race. But Ehlers just setting the tone here. Do you expect Ehlers to rabbit in this situation?
I don't think he's rabbiting. I think he's trying to run a fast enough race to perhaps get him into the regional. What's Ehlers' time coming in? We'll get that for you in a second. Ehlers has run 29:52. He probably needs to run a little bit faster to get into the regional meet. And sometimes, you know, the best chance is to just go out there and run unimpeded. And, you know, he has to, I'll tell you what, he's going to have to run faster.
Just making it an honest race, right, on this backstretch.
Yeah.
And I like it.
And, you know, he is just a sophomore, so a little short on the experience side compared with some of these other guys who are have more confidence in biding their time and kicking. I would not expect to see Ehlers at the end of this thing in the top 5 or 6 spaces. There's probably going to be a lot of guys chasing past them. And the race really begins probably about 4 miles.
Right.
So, you know, in the last 2, they'll cruise pretty hard.
Wolf still hanging on to that inside.
Yeah, I would say a better word than hanging on is he's cruising
he knows.
on the inside.
Meaning he's holding that positioning.
Yeah. Right, yeah, exactly. He's fine. He looks super comfortable. Looks like he could probably close his eyes for a few laps and wake up and be just fine. His teammate Alex Phillip right behind him. Yes, that's 5'11" is Wolf and 498 is Phillip there in about 12th and 13th place right now.
Miss Gina falling behind on the inside for Florida State. Ehlers still out in front. Durfel in second for Syracuse. As Norm mentioned, O'Donnell as well, strong distance runner. He is in third. He's flipped from the inside and back to the outside, right behind Ehlers' left shoulder.
And now we're seeing from Notre Dame for the first time, that's Robert Kosian. He's a junior for the Fighting Irish. Getting up there with Carter Solomon right behind him. In fact, Solomon and Wolf are right next to each other. And a couple years back at the ACC Cross Country Championships, it came down to Wolf and Solomon, and Solomon outkicked Wolf. That's probably not going to happen today, but you never know.
Yeah, you never know. We could see that. We'll continue the 10K on the other side from Atlanta. Going to crown a champion here. One of the running events on the men's side. We'll see who outlasts the other in a moment. Back at Atlanta for the ACC Outdoor Track and Field Championships. Ehlers out in front over Durfel and O'Donnell in the men's 10K. But let's go to one of the field events and see who was champion in the men's pole vault earlier tonight.
Men's pole vault for years in the ACC has been a battle between Virginia Tech and Duke. No different this year. This is Ham, his third attempt at 17 feet 3 3/4 inches. Guttermison passed that height. Now here he is with his third at 17 7 3/4. Simon Guttermison. He was nice. And here is Maddox Ham of Virginia Tech. His third attempt at 17 7 3/4. Can he answer? Yes, he can. What a competition we've got going. Now we bring up the bar to 17 11 3/4. Here's Simon Guttermison again at 17 11 3/4. He clears on his first attempt. Now, what could Maddox Ham do? He takes this attempt. That's a no. So he'll pass the next height after this miss. So we go to 18-3. This is Simon Gutterson of Duke. His second attempt, 18-6.5. He clears it. That is a new personal best for Simon Gutterson and an ACC title. Guttermison atop the podium, 18-6.5. Maddox, 17 7 3/4. Paul Signorelli, 17 feet even. Those could be important team points for the Tar Heels, picking up 6.
Norm, great stuff. Still in the midst of the 10K. And by the way, North Carolina has taken the lead. Parker Wolf has jumped up into second. Alex Phillip as expected, is out in front, holds the nation's best 10K time established at the Brian Clay Invitational. So it's Phillip and Wolf, 1-2. Ehlers has dropped in the third. Remember, he was leading for what? The first 4 miles of this race.
Yep. You know, these guys are really, really good. The front two are the two we expect to be up in the front when all is said. Now the question is, can Will Anthony, who's in 6th right now, move into that 3rd spot? This can be so big for UNC. And you see they got their 3rd guy running in about 7th right now. Oh, a fall.
Somebody tumbled right in front of us.
Yeah, and I thought he was going to take down the Florida State kid, but he managed to stay on his feet. And that kid, by the way, this Kiddis Masinga, Florida State, the junior.
That last lap, by the way, 1:08.54. Even Wolf and Phillip to take the lead. Here's Wolf on the outside, and Phillip says, go ahead, Parker. And Parker Wolf, for the first time in the 10K final, takes the lead.
Yeah, this won't be likely any kind of major move here. He's just probably tired of running in the pack, wanted to get out for a little bit. O'Donnell's still right there.
He's hanging on.
Ehlers is still hanging over. Look, Carter Solomon in the 5th now. And that's probably the last guy Wolf wants to see in his debut 10K is Carter Solomon. 10
laps to go. Again, part of 25 laps for this 10K to crown a champion here on day 1 of the ACC championships. It is Parker Wolf, followed by Phillip. O'Donnell is in 3rd. Here comes a move by Carter Solomon on that outside into this backstretch.
Right behind Solomon is Will Anthony. So all the leading men in this event are up there, although McGoey of NC State, he's run 29.02, also in there. And Ehlers continues to be a factor, so quite exciting here what's going on in this 10K. Not particularly fast up to this point, but the weather's great, and there's a lot of run left in these guys. Parker Wolf's going, oh yeah, 10K, I'm familiar with this. They do it in runs all the time.
Yeah, the first time, though, he's running the 10K here collegiately. Phillip is in 2nd. O'Donnell is in 3rd. Carter Solomon looks like he is in 5th, though. Ehlers, as Norm mentioned, holding on to that inside position on the rail, and now getting into 3rd, it looks like. We'll take another timeout, and it is Parker Wolf who is out in front. His teammate, Alex Phillip, is in 2nd. We'll continue the 10K after this. In the midst of 8 laps to go in the men's 10K final here day 1 of the ACC Outdoor Championships. Phillip is in front for North Carolina, followed by Parker Wolf. Paul O'Donnell is in 3rd. What are you making of Wolf and Phillip kind of flip-flopping for the lead as we were in the commercial break?
Oh, they're just working as teammates together. That hip number 1 on Phillip is symbolic of his position on the national list at 10K, 27:51.26. Wolf, his first ever 10K on the track. Then right behind him, you have O'Donnell, longtime 10K ace for Syracuse. Now moving into 3rd, wearing hip number 25. That's John Malik of NC State. Wow. He's all of a sudden come way up. We haven't seen him near the front for this race, and now he's in there, and here comes Carter Solomon.
Solomon gaining ground on Malik. And trying to get into 3rd. It looks like Carter does get into 3rd behind Phillip and Wolf, who's out in front.
Will Anthony in 4th. Solomon in 5th.
Phillip holding on to 2nd.
This is a classic 10K, let me tell you. Wolf, Phillip, Malik, Anthony, Solomon.
Now tell me about the positioning, though, Norm, of Phillip here to kind of fight off Malik, who's in 3rd, and Anthony behind him in 4th. What is Alex Phillip doing here to aid Parker Wolf?
I'm not sure he's trying to aid Parker Wolf. I just think he's trying to stay with Parker Wolf. That would be his goal. Okay. If I can stay with Parker Wolf, I'm going to beat everybody else.
That's true, too.
I think that's really the honest way to say it. But I think John Malik is an inspired runner right here. His best is 29:53, and he's hanging with these guys. I mean, look, Wolf, we know, is capable of running sub 28. Phillip has run sub 28, and Will Anthony who's also in that pack, has run 28:20. And here's this Malik, this 29:53 guy. What is he doing in there? He is not scared. He's with 3 of the best 10K runners in the country, showing that Wolfpack pride.
And here comes the move by Anthony to scurry into third, Norm.
As you would expect, we got the top 3 now we thought we were going to get. That is exactly what I had coming into this race. Wolf, Phillip, Anthony. But Malik, didn't have that. And now there's a gap between the rest of the pack. Solomon and company, O'Donnell, those guys are not in this thing. It's a 3-man race. The 3 guys we thought.
5 laps to go.
Yes, 2K remaining. They just went through 8K in 23:53. So they've picked it up considerably. That last lap, Will Anthony ran 64.9. Wolf and Phillip both running 65 seconds. In fact, they are so in sync as teammates. This is the second time we've seen their lap split identical to 100th of a second.
Looks like they're going to lap Coleman as well as he turns around for Georgia Tech and sees Phillip Wolf bustling forward.
Yeah, well, there'll be other lapping going on before this is over.
Yep.
But we are down. When they come around, there'll be 1 mile to go, or 1,600 meters to be more precise. Phillip, Wolf, Anthony. If you're not a distance fan, perhaps you're not as excited as I am, but this is a great race shaping up. 3 guys all right with the ability to run around 28 minutes. They're not going to run that tonight, but man, they're going to race for this. And remember, the team implications are right here. UNC 1-2, Virginia 3. Virginia can still win a team title if they can hang on to third here. If Anthony could split those 2 UNC guys, big plus for Virginia. If somehow Will Anthony could win, a huge plus for Virginia. But right now, Phillip Dare just shaking his hands loose. That's the first sign we've seen of Phillip getting tired. And Wolf saw it, and Wolf now moves to the lead.
Wolf out in front, followed by Phillip. Will Anthony, who broke the UVA record for over 20 seconds in the 10K at the Raleigh Relays earlier, 28:21.93, is in third. Parker Wolf still leading and lapping a slew of runners.
Wolf.
In his
Phillip.
first 10K.
Yeah.
No surprise, though, to us that he is out in front.
Wolf, Phillip, and Anthony. Again, you know,
3 to go.
if there wasn't the team title at stake between Virginia and UNC, this would be a lot less dramatic. And now Wolf's really starting to pull away on this lap. His last lap, another 65. All 3 of them ran 65 in the last lap, but now Wolf has visibly picked up the tempo. He may be dropping it down to 63 on this circuit. But if it wasn't for the team title, these 3 guys would probably just be kind of chilling at this point, you know, because they have their regional marks. If they want to run 10K at regionals and NCAAs, they can do that. But, man,
Look at the separation, though, here,
Wolf, we knew this was going to happen. Wolf, the best distance runner in the ACC this year, moving up to 10K. If you remember at Boston, when he had the ability to go to nationals in either the mile or the 3,000 and the 5,000, we asked him what is he going to run, and he surprised us, I thought at least. I'm going to try the 5K. And now he's running the 10K. He has just moved up and up. But again, with his stupendous cross-country running, this really can't surprise anybody.
Final 800 to go here for Parker Wolf to be crowned an ACC outdoor champion here in the 10K for the first time.
And this will be his 4th ACC title in one school year. Cross-country, mile, 3K, 10K here, and he's got a great shot at the 5K on Saturday. That could be 5 individual titles in the ACC in 1 year. You'd have to go a long way back to find somebody as dominant in this conference. It's not like the ACC is a slack distance conference. It's one of the best. Parker Wolf.
But a lot of folks in the Denver area cheering for Parker Wolf, a 5-time state champion, and bringing that pedigree to North Carolina as well.
Just destroying the field. Coming up on the bell lap for Parker Wolf.
And just marvel at the final 400 for Parker Wolf. On his way to winning the 10K.
50, 60.
wins 62-71.
ACC Men's Cross Country Athlete of the Year a couple years ago. He's been strong at the NCAAs, the 3K second in indoors, fifth in the NCAA outdoors as well. By the way, North Carolina in third with Phillip.
Will Anthony into second. There you see Will Anthony hit number 2 for Virginia.
Great race from him, too.
And again, this is a very positive thing for Virginia in their quest to hang on to Tar Heels. There'll be other showdowns in the 1,500 and the 5,000, but this was the first one. And I was expecting a 1-2 UNC finish. Instead, it's going to be UNC, Virginia, UNC.
Parker Wolf looking back and seeing where Phillip is probably in third. Anthony still holding on to second, but the story tonight in his first 10K, congratulations to Parker Wolf of the Tar Heels. Gets another ACC championship.
He ran 62.7 on his penultimate lap, 64.8 to close when he had it more than wrapped up. Will Anthony closed in 60.97, the fastest last lap of the field. Will Anthony, 62nd last quarter, last 400 meters for Virginia.
And then Phillip.
Alex Phillip closing in 65.3. He ran 29.23. There's Parker Wolf, 29.15.12. So that won't be fast enough to make the NCAA on the old level where you did it off a list, but it's surely fast enough, I would think, to make the regional if he wanted to contest it. Of course, he's got those 1,500 and 5,000 times that also, I mean, he can just take his choice of what he wants to do. In for fourth place, Carter Solomon. There he is in the shot. Carter Solomon running 29.23, his first 10K of the season. 29.47 for Solomon. Wachtel of UVA. There's some more points for the Cavaliers. So the Cavaliers get second and fifth, which gives them 13 points. So they pick up some points on UNC.
Parker Wolf rolls on in Atlanta. He is the 10K champion of the ACC Outdoor Championships. We'll show the results when we return. Back in Atlanta here at the Griffin track, and we just found out our 10K champion who ran terrific 25-lap race, and that is Parker Wolf, who finishes out in top over Will Anthony, and his teammate Alex Phillip is in third. And we're grateful to have our 10K champion Parker Wolf with us, running the 10K for the first time. Parker, I want to ask you first and foremost, what was the mindset just entering this and how you excelled to a championship yet again in the ACC?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of this this championship is just kind of training through it and trying something, you know, go up in distance to come back down in the 5K. So, you know, just a lot of practice in this and doing something a little longer and that I have and a good bit here. And first one, so got it done with and won't be back on it for a while, so more 5Ks to come.
Yeah, it's your first 10K, but that's your fourth ACC title of this year with perhaps an opportunity for number 5 on Saturday. How do you feel after the 10K and how you're going to recover in the next 48 hours?
Yeah, I feel pretty good. I mean, kind of shut it down the last 600. Tried to. It's coach was yelling at me. It's hard to want to, you know, shut it down too much. I don't know where everyone is, but definitely just, you know, kept it chill on the way in, and then we're going to spend the night and get recovered, and throughout the next day, just hydration and recovery. That's kind of the main goal.
Parker, talk us through the work you had with Alex Phillip to kind of get past Will Anthony, Carter Solomon, some others were in front of you, because I kind of saw you on the inside on that rail anywhere from 5th to 8th. You were in prime positioning early on. I know Ehlers was leading for the first couple of laps, but when did you feel like you and Alex would take that surge to take the lead, and obviously the wide gap that you had throughout the championship?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about taking the lead a couple miles out. Just happened. We were kind of tired of the pace, and we went in about probably 12 laps in, and we just kind of, you know, put a little pressure on him and made us speed up a little bit, and we just kind of squeezed it down. And I mean, I really felt confident with, you know, 3 laps to go that I could just blow it open a little bit and give myself a cushion, and that's kind of how it played out. So, I mean, main goal was to get Alex to where he was, and I mean, Will Anthony had a good close, but I think we're walking away pretty happy.
You should walk away happy. You know, we're, as track fans, very happy to see this tremendous showdown we expect over the next 3 days between the Cavs and the Heels. Just wanted you to know, in the 10K, Virginia put up 13 points and UNC put up 17, with Colton Sands coming through big with that 8th place.
Yep.
So much more to come, as they say, in the 1500 and the 5000. But great start for the Heels tonight.
Great start. Yep, it's just a start too. So we've got a lot of guys coming back in other events, and we're excited to keep rolling.
Parker, congratulations. 10K champion here at the ACC Outdoors. Go get a quick breather, and we'll see you back on Saturday, I'm sure.
Awesome. Sounds great.
More events. That's Parker Wolf, an ACC champion for North Carolina in first. Anthony finishes in second. Philip in third. We segue to the men to the women's 10K, and that championship is next. So here in Atlanta, 3 events scored out of 21. On the men's side sees Duke, North Carolina, and Virginia Tech spearheading just very early in the championships, Norm.
Yeah, the key thing to remember on day one scores is it's only 3 of 21.
Right.
And you know, it's in no way projects Duke to win the team title, but a great start for the Blue Devils. And UNC just delivering 17 of those 27 points in the 10,000. Now we have another 10,000 to go. That first one wasn't exciting enough for you. We have a bunch of women lining up in this 10K, approximately 24 of them, and we will see who can run fairly fast in this probably better than anticipated weather. Here's Erin Strzelecki of Notre Dame. She would probably be your one of your top contenders coming in. She's been around the ACC distance wars for a number of years. She's run 32:44:62 coming in.
Yeah, Strzelecki was the ACC indoor champion in Boston that we called one that 5K'd 15:58:04. We'll also focus on Savannah Rourke out of Cuse, 6th in the ACC outdoors last year in the 10K at 33:45:51.
Savannah Rourke has been a key cog in the Syracuse women's distance machine that continues to roll on. You see, outside of Strzelecki and Rourke, another Syracuse runner in Lawler, Ellie Lawler. She's not run quite as fast. Her best is only 33:46. But I would expect Lawler to try and help out Rourke early.
And Isma as well for North Carolina State, Norma, the Montgomery, Alabama native.
Yeah, she's Coach Hennis's top runner in the 10K, and generally Coach Hennis's top runner in the 10K does really, really well.
She was an outdoor 5K champion in Raleigh last year, a 2-time All-American as well. Terrific. Obviously, we're in the distance races, but a terrific cross country.
Absolutely. That's why you win 2 NCAA titles in a row, and the Wolfpack have done that.
Okay, so the staggered start here, and they'll kind of intertwine going into the backstretch here in the straightaway for the first time. So it's 25 laps, the women's 10K championship here in Atlanta.
And right to the front is Savannah Rourke with Sydney Seymour of NC State, hip number 14, also out there in the very, very early going. 25 laps, as you said, at 6.2 miles. And sometimes the women will run a more honest pace than the guys. You know, they'll charge out and run hard, where the guys sometimes will get really tactical. The last race, though, super exciting. You know, they were cautious early, but then they really ran quick in those final laps.
Last year, this was won by Caitlin Toohey of North Carolina State, 32:56:75.
Yeah, much like Parker Wolf, that was Caitlin Toohey's first 10K. So
that's a good call.
Yeah, you can do well on your first time if you're, not running them all the time. That's the tough thing about a 10K, especially if you're going to try and come back in regionals in just 2 weeks, and then you'd have to come back and do NCAAs 2 weeks after that. And I have my best 10K runners. I would try not to run it at ACCs because it was going to be hard for them to be on their best game in 2 weeks. So I think that's why you see some people moving in and out of their #1 events. Like Parker Wolf basically told us he's not going to run the 10K at regionals or nationals. He's going to focus on the 5,000. And that seems absolutely smart. So, we'll see what emerges from tonight in this field. This is probably a little more wide open than the men's 10K in terms of, we had 5 or 6 guys that had legitimate shots to win, I think. And I don't think that's the case in this race with only a couple girls sub 33 coming in.
So Caroline Garrett's out in front for Wake Forest. The senior finished fourth at the Stanford Invitational, 33-46, 84, 11th last year in the 10K. So she has the lead from the outset. Rourke, as Norm mentioned early on, in second for Syracuse. Olsen of Notre Dame's in third. Tynesma, as we highlighted from the outset of this race, in fourth. And Curvaya also getting in the mix at Garnet Valley High School. That's outside of the Philadelphia area for Pitt. She's just a junior, finished seventh at the Raleigh Relays. Olsen hanging on at the rail, but it looks like it's going to be Garrett out in front for Wake Forest. And a track she's very familiar here at Wake Forest that's seen some competition here as well, coming here to Georgia Tech that's hosting the championships. So our thanks to all the staff here in Atlanta.
If I'm correct, Wake Forest will be hosting the outdoor meet next year.
Yeah. That's what popped into my mind there, saying that for John Hayes and his crew.
There's Earwood from the host Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets on the outside, wearing hip number 8. She's running in about 8th place. Couple Pittsburgh girls up there. Pittsburgh has made a nice move up in the distance ranks in the ACC in recent years. They're getting a new coach just a couple years ago, and he's done quite well.
Rourke holding on into second right now. 6th in the 10K last year, 33-45. Still seeing Garrett out in front. Also strong in cross country. She finished 29th at the championships in the 6K back in October for Caroline Garrett out of Wake Forest. It's out in front right now. Olsen is still hanging on into third. Ellie Lawler of Syracuse is hovered around that 4 spot just behind Olsen. Seeing her in Curvaya just drop a little bit into 6, right past Tynesma. And Curvaya for Pitt still in that 6th spot. It is still Garrett setting the pace out in front. Where do you see Strzelecki? She was out in second, but she's fallen back a little bit. Still in good positioning, Norm. She's in 8th right now.
Yeah, Strzelecki's within herself. It's a good place to be this early in a race. What, they went through 1,200 meters in 4:04, so they're running like 81 seconds a lap, 5:20 mile pace. So Strzelecki can bide her time for a little bit while. I mean, this is such a long race when you're just have so many more laps to run.
Yeah.
I mean, these girls are all fit, but when you in cross country, the furthest race is 6K, and now here that's almost twice as far as that. So you can't run a lot of them in a season and expect to be in your best in late May and early June. Now, for many 10K runners, this is their final race of the year, and they realize that. But for the ones again that have to go on in 2 weeks, they don't necessarily want to put everything on the track tonight, and that's why a lot of them may be just running the 5K instead, or even the steeple.
That's a good distinction. Garrett is still out in front. Rourke in second. Olsen in third. Curvaya's on the outside as well. Wearing hip number 4 for Pitt. Just getting started here in the women's 10K. About to crown another champion here at the ACC Outdoor Championships. Garrett still leading, followed by Rourke. The two have been at the top throughout. Strzelecki was also in the mix. She has fallen back into 8th. And Curvaya right now leapfrogs Tynesma into 5th. But it's still Caroline Garrett leading Rourke.
Garrett, Rourke, and Lawler mid-race here.
So just getting started here in the 10K. 20 laps to go, a long way. But can Rourke, Garrett, and Olsen stay at the top? We'll see when we return to Atlanta. We're situated at Griffin Track in Atlanta for the ACC Outdoor Track and Field Championships. We're in the midst of the Women's 10K Championship. Menninger just took the lead over Garrett, and Rourke for Syracuse is in third. But let's check up on what happened in one of the field events in the women's javelin earlier tonight.
And the women's javelin was held a bit earlier and slow going in the first few rounds. We advance to the fifth round. This is Erica Hill of Miami. Her fifth throw. You still see blue skies. This happened a couple hours ago. This measures out to 158 feet 6 inches. That's good enough to put her into third. Then Julia Magliario of Duke on her fifth attempt gets it out about 8 feet further. 166.8 for Julia Magliario. That puts her in the second. And then in the sixth round, when she needed it most, Desan Teixeira, our favorite for Miami going in, she lost one way out there, 182.10. She will be your ACC champion. Duke, though, with 8 points from Julia Magliario will help them in the team title. Erica Hill gets another 6 points for Miami with the third place, and they all decide to share the top step.
Congratulations to Teixeira. Miami takes first and third. All right, Norm, that wraps up the women's javelin. By the way, on the men's side, for the men's javelin, that is postponed until tomorrow for day 2 due to the torrential rain we had in the Atlanta area. So again, men's javelin will take place tomorrow. At the top of the hour, Dave Leno, Norm Ogilvie, our entire great crew here at Griffin Track in Atlanta. You're watching the women's 10K. Garrett's out in front over Rourke and Olsen. By the way, no Virginia Tech, UNC, or Duke runners in the women's 10K. NC State has 5 at the top 10K runners in the ACC this year, headlined by Hartman, but only Tynesma represents the Wolfpack tonight. But the story so far is Garrett setting the pace for Wake.
Garrett is running a very nice race. Coming in, she'd run 33.46. We got 3 runners sub 33 minutes coming into the field, but right now, if you're under 34 minutes, you're got a stake at least scoring in this event. So not the event on the ACC program that most jumps out at you in terms of national level marks, but it's kind of bizarre when you think about it. There's some of those schools you mentioned that are not in there.
Yeah.
I mean, Duke not having a 10K runner on the women's side, it's been a long time since that's been the case. Of course, Duke lost the services of Anima Matu after the Raleigh Relays 5000, which she ran a beautiful 15:51. She has since entered the transfer portal, so some setbacks for Duke women's distance. But believe me, the Wolfpack and Lori Hennis, they're fine. They're just fine. And Tamesia is, again, she's a defending champ, so she'll be fine, too, in this evening's race. Just very, not much action happening right now. We just got a bunch of runners cruising through. They went through 2 miles in about, 10:52. So pretty casual for even NCAA distance runners. They should be, coming up on 4 miles to go, 16 laps.
Rourke has held on into second, Norm. She was 6th last year. She's the top returner, 13th in the nation this year. You mentioned a little bit of Lori Henderson and NC State. So until Caitlin Tui won this last year at 32.56, no NC State runner had won the 10K at the ACCs since 2002 when Kristen Price ran it. So it's just interesting seeing like the dominance on one side with the distance races, and then you're not getting kind of what you're talking about, the stars flourishing in the 10K.
I think, but I think the main point, though, is what I was talking about with regional qualifying. So, since regional qualifying went into effect 15 years ago, or however long it was, they don't give any more time for the 10K runners than what they have, which is 2 weeks after the conference meet. So you're going to find a lot of 10K runners, not running because their coach is saying, hey, no, we want you to be on for the NCAA qualifying, and they just make choices. Well, we can do, 5,000, or we can do 15 and 5,000, we can do steeple and 5,000. And it takes less out of their body, and then they could still come back and run a good 10K in 2 weeks. And I know I did that myself back in the day.
Wow.
So, and it, it worked often where we'd get a guy in that maybe you wouldn't have thought in the 10K. Because it's just really hard to do. Basically, what you would have to do is run 3 10Ks in a course of 6 weeks if you were to make the NCAA. So that's a tough call. Obviously, NC State could have probably 7 girls in this race who could come close to scoring if they all ran, but then they wouldn't have anything in the 15 or the 5 or in 2 weeks for regionals.
Great discussion. 15 laps to go in the women's 10K. Garrett, Rourke, and Olson are our top 3. It's all Garrett from Wake Forest. We'll continue the 10K after this. Continuing the 10K, Dave Leto, Norm Ogilvie, our entire crew in Atlanta. Still Garrett, Rourke, and Olson up top, but I'm seeing the movement from 8th leapfrogging into 5th, and that's Erin Strzelecki of Notre Dame, and just in front of her is Tynesma.
Yeah, this is the point of the race. We're just passing 5K or so. You know, there's a... Actually, we haven't passed 5K yet.
That's all right.
It's very close, very close. Yeah, when they come around the next time, it'll be 13 to go, so then another half lap. They basically have 300 meters before we hit 5K. Anyway, the point is that you'll see the pack now. It's not a group of 20 anymore. It's, what, a group of 13, 14. And eventually, in these races, you'll see it breaking down into 8. And those are the people who say, I want to score at all costs. And that did happen, actually, in the men's race. We just didn't see that because Parker Wolf was extending that top 3 into many broken down pieces. When you think about that 10K, you know, in the men's side, I mean, they were running really fast. Parker Wolf 2:04 in the last 800. Will Anthony 62nd quarter on the end. I mean, nobody in the women's race has broken through yet, but we're still so early days in this race. When they come around in like the next 100 meters, they're just about to pick up some water. They're going to be offered water for the first time. Yeah, there it is. And then when they get to the end of the straightaway, they will actually be at 5K, and we can guess at the halfway point. And you can see why this isn't such a fast event. Here you go, halfway, right about there, 17:12 or so at 5K. So, you know, that's showing you they're going to run 34 and change. And, you know, we've got some runners who've gone sub 33 in this field. So, yeah. It's, but Tynesma, I agree, looks really good in about third right now.
I just liked her positioning from early on. Has stayed around that spot throughout. I see Menninger also behind Lawler, her fellow teammate. So we're seeing Syracuse with Rourke still in second. Olson's in third. Garrett setting the pace as she's done since the outset for Wake Forest.
Yep. Garrett has led the whole way, and that will cost her later. I think O'Rourke and I think Tynesma look the best. And then currently in third place, that's the Notre Dame athlete.
That's Olson.
Yeah. And Olson looks good too. So I could see 3 of the top 4 being the top 3 when it's all over. I think for Garrett, ultimately, it'll be too much leading. Grabbing water again. I don't think we saw the men grab water more than a couple times, but it's smart to grab water, especially if you've got a nice, fairly pedestrian pace early on. And I hate to use the word pedestrian. That's just a classic track and field term, and it occasionally slips out. It doesn't mean these girls aren't running hard. It just means they're within themselves, and that's a good strategy, especially for the ones that are coming back, later in the meet, in the 5K or some other distance race like the steeple.
So we're getting Rourke, who's been in second throughout, and of Beaver Creek, Ohio. Was Ohio State champion in her own right back in 2019. PRs in the 3K indoors, 7th in the 5K indoor at the ACCs as well.
The name we haven't mentioned, but she's sneaking now into that top 8 we talked about, is Cameron Menninger. She's a junior for the Lady Cavs. And I think she's made a very nice gradual move up.
Strzelecki was fended off by Tynesma. She's on the inside right now in 5th. Olsman has been hovering in 3rd for Notre Dame.
There's Menninger, who I was just discussing, hit 15 for Virginia, right on the outside. Tynesma, look at now, she's cooled off. She didn't drink the water. She poured it on her neck, which helps reduce the temperature a bit. So, you know, you'll see sometimes runners will either pour the water on the back of their head to get the back of the neck, or like she did, just on the front of her neck. And because often they're fairly well hydrated. They've probably been drinking water most of the day, especially the few previous days, worried about the heat and humidity. And then guess what? It's not that hot and humid, so probably what they need more than the fluids down their gullet is cooling down their arteries near their skin.
How about Inkervaya for Pitts?
Just moved into third, yes.
Yep. She's been in that top 8 throughout as well.
She's a 33-47-53 coming into this meet.
Grand Valley High School.
Brad Herbster was the name of the distance coach at Pittsburgh. I failed to come up with I've known Brad for years. I felt terrible about it. It fired back into my brain. And he's done a super job at Pitt, getting them to slowly climb the ranks of the ACC. And Pitt's now got a little bit more potential in their future, having it now an outdoor track and some things they did not have. They've always had the best dressed head coach in the ACC, but now they're getting some facilities and support that give them even more potential. And they've done a nice job overall. And also looking really good in the sprints on the men's side. But women's distance now, look, she's got a chance to score in Corvaya.
Yep, she's in 4th right now.
Yeah.
Finished 16th in the 10K at the ACCs in Raleigh last year. Still led by Garrett. When is that move going to be made on Garrett? Still got a little bit to go. Looks like 9 laps.
To go.
Yep,
9 to go when they hit the finish line. Yep. So this will be actually the 4-mile split that we get. So they're going to be over 22 minutes, which means they're running over 5:30 pace.
Okay, we'll take another timeout with Garrett still out in front. Rourke and Corvaya of Pitt is in 3rd. Can Garrett hold on? We'll see when we return to Atlanta. 2 miles to go here in the women's 10K. Dave Leno, Norm Ogilvie, and our entire crew. Olsen has taken the lead for Notre Dame, followed by Rourke and Tynesma with the move, Norm, into 3rd for North Carolina State.
Yes, that's an important move. But as we just went to break before, we passed 4 miles in over 22 minutes, so they were running 5:30 pace. The last couple laps, they dropped it down sub 5:20. Olsen running a 79, Rourke running an 80, Tynesma running an 80, and Lawler running an 80. So they have dropped the pace down at least 10 seconds per mile in the last lap and a half. And when they come around this time, it'll be 7 to go.
Savannah Rourke, if you're just tuning into the women's 10K, has been in 2nd throughout this race. Tynesma has been anywhere from like 3 to 5. She's in 3rd, trying to make a move into 2nd now and trying to leapfrog Rourke on the outside. It looks like she will successfully here.
Yeah, Tynesma is definitely the one in control here. She's running right where she needs to be. She's confident, and I don't think she's going to be denied in this 10K. Rourke is going to challenge her, but I think Tynesma is in great shape right now.
And she's a transfer from Alabama prior to last season, a 5-time cross-country champion, also had a terrific career at Montgomery Catholic Prep, where she won 26. Now this is, again, as in her prep career, indoor and outdoor state titles.
While we're looking at our top 3, moving into 4th now is Menninger of Virginia, and Strzelecki of Notre Dame is in 5th. So there's your top 3. That's where the race for the win is. And then you've got Menninger in 4th, Strzelecki in 5th. There's Strzelecki. She has a long and storied career at Notre Dame and certainly can get back into now we have, it's a lap runner, sorry. Boston College runner being passed by our top 3. That's our first lappage of the race.
Olsen still hanging on. You mentioned Strzelecki. She won the ACC Indoors, we called in Boston, in the 5K, 15:58. There, still Olsen out in front.
1:19.90 through that last 400.
Tynesma in 2nd. Can she get into first? Rourke just behind her in third. Still Tynesma.
Tynesma now picking up the pace. She got down another 79. And Olsen looks a little more stressed. Rourke, though, still in this thing. Actually, Olsen now just picked up her arm carry a little bit, so actually she is responding to Tynesma's move. And this actually could end up being a nice finish as we come up on the finish line about 100 meters away. Here's our lead pack. They're about 50 meters from crossing the line.
Olsen looks like it's going to be Tynesma still out in front. Olsen in second, 5 to go. In third is Rourke of Syracuse, followed by Menninger Strzelecki in fifth. Lawler is in sixth. Tynesma still out in front. Closing in on that last mile here in Atlanta. There's Tynesma still out there. The NCAA Outdoors in the 5K last year, she finished fourth at 15:44.82. Showing why in a little bit of a longer race here in the 10K over Rourke and Olsen. How about the separation here closing into the last mile for Tynesma?
We thought she was going to do this. She's clearly showing that she's the class of this field. Another great Lori Hennis trained athlete for the Wolfpack. And she's making this her own. And Rourke is going to have to be content with holding off Olsen at this point. And now coming up on, I believe, 4 laps to go.
Mile left.
We have a slightly obstructed view of the lap counter from our position, but I'm pretty sure it's 4 to go.
You're right. I'm right there with you, by the way, too. So the question now is, Tynesma, can she keep this up, lengthening her lead over Olsen and Rourke? It looks like she can.
I don't think there's any question about that. I think the question is, who's going to finish second? Is it going to be Olsen or Rourke? And Menninger, who picked out about 1.5 miles ago, continues to excel, running a great race for her for Virginia. Strzelecki now has to hold off others so she can just get 5th, it looks like. But this race has been blown wide open by Amaris Tynesma. Although I'll let you say that better.
That's okay. Tynesma still out in front for those that are just tuning in to the conclusion of the 10K championship here in Atlanta. Olsen in second, Rourke in third. Tynesma made her move, what, about a lap and a half ago, 2 laps ago for Tynesma?
Yeah, probably about 2.5 laps,
okay.
About a kilometer ago.
Yeah.
And she just dropped it down to 74. Her last 3 laps have been 79, 73, and 74. So that just tells you everything you need to know. Everybody else is running 79 or 80. Look at how her stride has just opened up. Her arms going kind of north-south rather than east-west. Well, I guess she's got a little east-west action too, but a beautiful looking runner.
Lapping here a slew of distance runners now for Tynesma.
She has now a 100-meter lead.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, not 100, 70-meter lead on second and third. There's second and third.
Olsen and Rourke. Yeah.
Menninger is in fourth, by the way.
Yep.
And Olsen just took second. But there is Tynesma, the story here in the 10K championship. Two-time All-American in her own right for Amaris Tynesma, the Alabama native. Now starring at North Carolina State. Checking her watch. The final 800 for Tynesma. 2 to go.
Glad to confirm that it is 2 laps to go. That was my feeling. And here We now have 700 meters to go for Tyne Misi as she passes the 1,500-meter start line. Olsen still ahead of Rourke for second place.
And again, points are on the line, so that's why it's important that, you know, we're stating who's going to come in second, third, fourth, all trending towards that team championship. But here is Tyne Misi in the individual event here in the 10K, closing in her last lap. There's Olsen and Rourke in second and third.
Now, this has a little less impact on the overall team race than one might expect. No Duke or Clemson athletes in this thing, and we expect those will be the two teams battling down to the wire come Saturday's 4x4. There's the bell lap for Tyne Misi, and you know, Lori Hennis just continues to get it done. If it's an ACC distance race, look for a Wolfpack runner to be at the front of it.
Yep. It is amazing over the years what the Wolfpack program has accomplished. Some legendary coaches have come through there, not just Lori Hennis.
Oh, absolutely. And they set the ground for her. But Lori Hennis just 2 weeks ago at the Penn Relays was named the honorary Relays.
That's awesome.
Carnival official. It's a coach's honor, but she totally deserves it. Now down to 200 meters left for Tyne Misi. Here's you see Rourke looks like she's going to try and get the silver over Olsen.
Can't forget about the job that Geiger, Coach Geiger, has done there as well over the years. Still with the program too. Has to marvel what Tyne Misi is doing.
Yep. Geiger was the benchmark for a long time. He still goes to practice every day, and but Hennis gets all the credit as the head coach, and all that she's brought to the program has been phenomenal. There's about to win.
And Amaris Tyne Misi.
And there's the race.
2024 ACC champion.
Olsen trying to come back on Rourke, and she does.
Olsen trying to get second here on Rourke for Notre Dame.
Final straight here.
And she will. What a race from Ariane Olsen. Rourke finishes in third. Congrats to both of them.
3 athletes under 34 minutes in this race. Olsen at 33.56, Rourke at 33.58. And I guess we didn't give you the winning time.
That's all right. 33:42.57 for Amaris Tyne Misi. It's our 2024 ACC Outdoor 10K champion.
She closed in 76, which is considerably faster than the first 20 laps of the race. But it's interesting, that battle for second. Olsen ran 72, Rourke ran 73, so faster even than the winner. And sure enough, Cameron Menninger, there I got it out. UVA finishes fourth. We thought Menninger looked good about halfway, and she pulled through in a great way for the Cavs. Kate Jortberg of Georgia Tech gets fifth.
All right, so congratulations here to Amaris Tyne Misi as our champion of the women's 10K side. We'll speak to Amaris and check up on the results in just a moment. Here at Griffin Track back in Atlanta for the ACC Outdoor Track and Field Championships, we just crowned another champion. Congratulations to Amaris Tyne Misi. There you see the final results in the women's 10K. It's NC State repeating. They had Caitlin Toohey last year. Tyne Misi this go around.
Another distance race, another ACC title for the Wolfpack. And there she is. And we're hoping to be communicating with her directly shortly.
Yeah. So Tyne Misi taking first at 33:42.57. Olsen and Rourke, by the way, were jockeying for second and third. It was Olsen outlasting Rourke for second for Notre Dame.
Sorry, I have a piercing on the left side.
It's getting set to join us in just a moment. In her great career for North Carolina State, coming from Alabama and winning the 10K at the ACCs. What a race here in Atlanta for Amaris Tyne Misi. Amaris, congratulations on the 10K title. When did you feel like you could make that move to create all that separation in this long race?
Yeah, well, I mean, Coach and I, we talked a lot before the race, and that was the plan. I felt really good. The last 10K I ran, I was pacing my teammates, and all of them PR'd, so that was a great time. But, I wanted to, come out here, do the 10K again for a good workout. And, yeah, basically we talked about maybe 6 laps to go, 5, 4, somewhere around there. I could just make a move and make it a really hard workout, which, because it's hot outside, it was extra toasty. But yeah, I enjoyed myself, and it was, yeah.
Well, we enjoyed
fun.
watching you. This is Norm Ogilvie, former Duke coach. We've been watching Lori Dennis's athletes dominate up to 6 races in the ACC for years. How does it feel to add your name to a list of champions? That is incredible.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I came here. She knows how to make champions. She knows how to make role models, leaders, and great human beings. And I'm just grateful to be a part of that. Yeah, also, if you're wondering why I'm holding this like a weirdo, it's because I have a trace piercing, and it's new, and I let it go, it's going to snag on it. So, yeah, that's all.
Listen, we don't want to mess that up. I want to give you one final question for our audience. So what's the difference? Take us through the mindset tactically in a race, how you started the 5K, but then as you mentioned, the work out here just going longer in the 10K. What are you telling yourself just with a longer distance race?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a lot of trusting your coach, trusting your own abilities. Honestly, sometimes it just clicks. And today, I felt like I was working out there. So that's always a good time. Sometimes it doesn't work that way. You don't need everything right preparing for it. So yeah, I'm happy that today was the day, and I felt good, and we got a good train workout in, and yeah, basically just mentally being there, and knowing that I have long-term goals, and this wasn't the main goal. This is leading up to my future goals.
Well, there was a goal accomplished at Maris. Congratulations, you're 10K champion of the ACCs. Maris Tanisma with the title. Thank you, Maris, and congrats, North Carolina State as well. So here's the women's standings. This is through 3 events, Norm, of 21, and obviously very early got Miami, Duke, and Notre Dame headlining at the top.
Yeah, I don't think there's any surprises there. We knew Miami was going to be very strong in some of the field events, and they qualified. I think Norfolk ran as they qualified some athletes to the next rounds. Duke still got lots and lots of points they can put on the board, perhaps as many as 100 additional. And Vontae, Centra, NC State. Clemson's the one to watch out for the most. They got 10 points. Maybe they could have done a bit better, but they've got so many people qualified already. So they're going to be strong and push Duke to the
Well, the most exciting thing is we're just getting started. Plenty of action on Friday. Our primetime show will begin at 6 for men's 110-meter hurdles prelims. We'll have prelims, but we will crown 2 champions of the running events and the steeplechase on the men's and the women's side. Also, we'll continue with the men's javelin that was postponed to tomorrow by another shot put, all leading up to Championship Saturday here in Atlanta. Please stay with us live on ACC Network Extra.
Let's not forget we're crowning champions in the decathlon and heptathlon day 2 as well.
That's right, we will conclude the multis tomorrow too. Cannot wait for all that action. That puts a bow on day 1 coverage from beautiful Griffin Track for producer Michael James, director Martin Tarr, statistician Dave Miller, Norm Ogilvie, and our entire fantastic crew. I'm Dave Leonard. We'll be back for day 2 coverage tomorrow night. For now, so long from Atlanta, and thanks for watching the ACC Outdoor Track and Field Championships.
senior cashes in heat number 1 at 23:29.
That is a seasonal best for Bieber at a great time. She, I mean, she just ran really well. And you know, she's been with the program throughout her career. She is not one of the transfers to Duke. She's been with Duke since her freshman year. She's a senior now.
Yeah, from Naperville, Illinois, 3rd last year at the ACCs in the 100 and 200. Look at that time again, 23:29. What does Bieber do here to fight off Vandermerve?
She has a really strong arm carry. Lots of, as you can see, she goes side to side. But, I mean, she's just tough and fit and very determined. I mean, so was Vandermerve, but that was a really strong race for Bieber, and we'll put her in the final. Not a huge surprise, but that's way faster than she's run so far this spring, so good for her. Vandermerve, though, will very likely make the final with the 23:38.
By 9/1000ths of a second over Vandermerve. So Duke has Bieber up and top. We expect Vandermerve to be there as well for Clemson. Hofatan also a strong 200 as well at 23:90. Here's Stoilova of Clemson, so we have another Tiger to feature. Last ran the 200, the UCF Knights invite, where she finished 3rd at a time of 23:17. Norm, she's over in lane number 8.
She is very talented for the Clemson Tigers. 23:17 this spring. She's going to get a little competition, I think, on the inside in lane 4 from Alyssa Robinson of Miami, who's run 23:40 this year. So they're within a couple tenths of each other. There's Geyser from Duke at 24:07. She had a very solid indoor season. She's been a big part of most of the Duke relays as well. They have good 4x1s and 4x4s. So we're looking at Clemson and Duke, you know, heading down to the wire on the team title.
Geyser was 4th in the 200 last year at the ACCs, contested in Raleigh. Douglas will be in lane number 3. Robinson, as Norm mentioned, in lane number 4. Pitt is Braggs in the middle in lane number 5.
Braggs just a freshman.
Yep. Number 2.
And Stoilova on the outside, and Geyser from Duke, it appears to be in 2nd.
Guys are getting here in this
and now Pittsburgh
last 50, but it looks like it is Stoilova who's still out in front. Here comes Robinson as well on the inside. Stoilova on the outside will take this second heat. Just by how much, though?
Geyser 2nd and Robinson in 3rd.
Stoilova, Norm, at 23:51 over Geyser's 23:85.
Coming now back to the start, we want to take a look at lane number 5 with the blue hair. A little bit of a stumble there, but she stays on her feet. That's Braggs from Pittsburgh. Actually came back and was momentarily in the top 3. I don't know how much that stumble cost her, but she will not be advancing in all likelihood.
So there's Stoilova, who takes it. 3rd at the ACC indoors as well, as Norm and I recollect back in Boston a couple months ago in the 60 at 7:32. She mirrors that here in a little bit of a longer race in the 200, in the sprints at 23:51. The same with Geyser. Alyssa Robinson also ran very well. The transfer from Indiana, native of Indianapolis, broke an indoor record last year in the 300 at 38:08. Was part of IU's 4x4 team. It's Robinson from Miami at 24 flat. Braggs just behind her as well. So 2 in the books, Norm, as we go to heat number 3 on Griffin Track.
Stoilova taking a little hydration after her heat 2 win. Now coming up on heat 3, we get a double dose of Blue Devils, but we also have Clemson, Miami in the race as well. Probably your favorite coming into heat 3 would be out in lane 6, Mackenzie Pierre Webster of Miami. She's run 23:19 this year.
So as we wait for McGinnis to come out in Jackson, how much stronger has